Yo. Oh shit, I gotta move myself around here. Whoops, can't see me. Get fucking owned. Oh, I'm gonna hide amongst you all, actually. Oh no, I'm getting bigger. That's not what I want to do. I'm getting wider. It's all bad. But I gotta get bigger to move myself and go smaller. There we go. Let me pop out my chats and get ready. By the way, any update? Did anyone actually figure out a way to combine YouTube and Twitch chat yet and have it not be bad? And still see all of the, like, normal things? Any doers? What is this, a stream for ants? Man, shut up. You know? Man. Yo, Max, how are you today? I'm fucking excellent. Well, okay, so today I went to the doctor. I got an x-ray. And I got them to look at my ankle. But I don't have anything conclusive from that. The x-ray information isn't back yet. They said the same thing as my sister. They doubt it's broken, but getting an x-ray is fine. Right? Fuck it, why not? And then I had a recommendation for, like, physical therapy and stuff, which is good. To get back on it as soon as possible. But yeah, why I'm not feeling too great is last night, if you guys remember at the end of my last stream, I decided to go not play hockey, but go to, like, a open ice and just skate around a little bit. Very light. Try to get some ankle mobility going, try to feel out my injury a little more after not skating on it for like a week. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went into that skate looking for some positive reinforcement, and I did not re-injure the ankle or really hurt it at all. I went into that skate maybe kind of foolishly looking to leave it and be like, all right, I feel better and I can skate and play hockey again soon. And I definitely was reminded that my ankle's definitely hurt. And I'm farther away from playing than I thought, which is very sad for me. But I have already accepted that. And what I'm really going to focus on, because I didn't have enough time to strength train before, I was literally, bro, Monday I had a skating, like I had a private lesson with like a really good hockey coach. On Tuesday I had a private lesson with a really good skater. He's actually a former Olympic figure skater, just to work on my edges for hockey. After that, on Tuesday I had a scrimmage. Later on that night I had a Division 1, like the highest division at this rink, hockey game for my third skate of the day. Wednesday I would work on my own skills on my own. I would get on the ice. Thursday, I would have 2 to 3 games, depending on the week. On Friday, I would go work on my skills on the ice. On Saturday, I would have 2 to 3 games, depending on the week. On Sunday, I have 1 game that night. And then that is like my rest day, where I only have 1 game. So I have no time to lift and get stronger, which is also part of this, because I was just playing so much. So my goal is, while my ankle is hurt, is to lift for strength every single day and get stronger and make that a part of my routine. And when I can finally play hockey again when my ankle's good, I will weave both of them together. How did you hurt your ankle? I got taken out in a hockey game. Dirty play, and the guy ended up landing on my ankle after he took me down. Max, I found you. You're exposed. Get owned. Did you beat him up? No. Oh, I have new information on that huge bitch that plays for that team, though. Remember I told you guys the story about how that guy, like, asked for my name and asked what my main team was because I skate so much against them, that one team? Bro, I found out because I know the hockey director there. I'm actually going to his birthday party tomorrow. Bro, that guy emailed the rink about me. Imagine injuring me by playing dirty and then having the fucking balls after the game to email the hockey director and complain that I'm playing on too many teams in that division. Which isn't against the rules, by the way. And everyone does. What a fucking bitch, man. So, and you may find this petty, what I've decided to do, because I can't skate for the next 3 weeks, and the last thing I want is for this motherfucking bitch that emailed them about me, is for him to think that, like, that worked, and that's why I'm not playing against them for the next few weeks. So I contacted every other team in the division, and what I'm going to try to do is literally lace up, get suited up, going to go on the ice, do the warm-up, take it easy on my foot, and I'm not even going to play in the game. I just want them to see me in warm-ups just to know that their email didn't fucking do anything. And I'm doing this tomorrow night. I'm going to show up to every single one of their games and just sit on the bench and not play because of my ankle being hurt. And I'm just going to chirp them the whole fucking game. Every single time they fucking miss a pass, miss a shot, fuck up, I'm going to yell at them the entire fucking game. And then shake their hand and look every single one of them in the eye in the handshake line. And by that, it'll allow me to get the necessary amount of games post my injury to actually play in the playoffs, and then I'm going to end their season. Which, by the way, I've played against them 5 times, and I have 13 goals against them. They fucking see me in their nightmares. Anyways, I'm not actually mad. I'm feeling good today. Feeling great. I'm actually really excited. This is like, you know how I normally get really excited for a new alpha build day? Where I like log on and then there's a new Alfie B, as they say. But I didn't get to experience that this week because it came out the day Diablo 4 was going out. And yeah, I'm serious, I haven't looked at anything. I have not looked at a single WoW note. Not to preserve it for stream, but just because every single second of the last, like, 3 days of my life, I've just been like psycho levels of thinking about Diablo, which, by the way, I had so much fucking fun playing that game. That was an insane, the changes they made to that game are fucking incredible. They're so good. Um, I think a lot of people probably won't play Diablo again until at least this is like Diablo 3. They're not gonna like a lot of people aren't gonna pick it back up until like the expansion. But like if they keep building on this and then they come out with an expansion and then a lot of people come back and try it for the first time, it's going to I have such high hopes. This is what it feels like. Do you guys remember in WoW in Shadowlands when you saw that philosophy shift in 9.1.5, like the mid part of Shadowlands where yeah, they like made Covenant swappable, but you could tell that they finally just got it, and like ever since that point everything's been account wide as fuck. They've not done any of that cringe Covenant shit. Like they finally like let go of that old way of thinking, and they just kind of changed the way they designed the game for the better. That is exactly what this patch is in Diablo. There's literally no seasonal content. There's like a rep vendor basically is like the only thing that they added, and they just focused on the base game. And even then, just as a base game, no seasonal shit whatsoever, it is a fucking heater, man. It's so good. I'm gonna play that shit again after my stream today. Pod High just finished the latest Pod EC. Yeah, it was a good one last night. It was fun. Max, I got promoted to electrical engineer from technician. Let's fucking go, baby. Dude, let's go Evan Teeter. Whole first and last name looking ass in YouTube chat. Let's see what that gets you around here. Let's see. What did you get? Electrical technician salary. All right, so let's see. California average would be like 60K a year for an electrical technician. Obviously, this is not exactly. Let's see how he got promoted. Let's see. Electrical engineer. What's the salary at, baby? No. No, I don't want to. Dude. Hello, please stop. Electrical engineer. Yearly. Okay, so bare minimum you got like a what, like a 25% bonus to your salary. That's a fucking massive W, man. That's sick. And I think it depends, like this I'm sure this is entry level too. So I'm sure like electrical engineers, if it's like most jobs like this, I imagine if you're working for someone else, this is about what you'll make, and then over time you'll make a bit more. And the people who are making like a lot of money doing this are probably people running their own small business or just being a contractor and working a lot. But either way, that's a huge dub. I'm proud of you, man. Dream company too. Let's go. What is a dream company for an electrical engineer? Well, I guess I'm asking too much. I was gonna ask where you work, but let's see. 85,000 is in $1 million since it's California and you need that kind of money there. Depends on where you live. I think living in LA definitely, it's overrated, like how expensive it is. Like people are like, how the fuck do you live there? You can definitely live in a not great part of town in LA and get in and not pay a ton of money. Like living where I live, like in the West, like living in West LA or like Santa Monica or really there's a bunch of different areas. Like that's pretty expensive, but like you can live in places that aren't even too sketchy for like pretty decently affordable. I mean, it's not good. Like it's not great, but I hear people say that like if you're living in LA and you're not making 100K a year, you're like living in the slums, and that's just not quite true. Max, Cali affordable and Louisville affordable are very, very different things. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know it costs more to live in big cities. Um, Bro, I rented an apartment that was like fucking big. Like one bedroom, it had a massive living room, a massive bedroom, and like a tiny bathroom and kitchen, but I don't cook anything and it's a fucking bathroom, who cares? Right? I lived there for like 2 years. Bro, the rent was, man, I don't remember exactly. I want to say the rent was like 350. Like $350. This was 10 years ago. So like obviously prices are probably more up from that, but I doubt it's by a lot. Like, holy, just think about that, bro. It was a nice place too. Good part of town. D4 was last epoched pretty thoroughly and it worked. Yeah. Dude, the 10 gifties from Twigs93. Dude, I never get gifted subs anymore. I fucking love it when I get some gifties. Dude, if I could like change anything about my personality, um, it would be if I was like it was like, have you guys ever played like a sports game and you've done like create a player? Bro, if I could like create a streamer, I would increase my stat to 99 of like being hyped about subs. Because I don't know if you guys have ever watched streams where like people sub to them and they're like, oh my god, fucking thank you. And then they just get super fucking hype when people gift. Those people, unsurprisingly, make way more subs per viewer than people like me who just like exist and yap and never acknowledge any subs, right? I would make significantly more money if that was just different about me, you know? Um, who is it? Virtual's very good at it. You in the WoW section, Peekaboo's an absolute goat at that. Like Peekaboo is a streamer created in a lab. Why don't you do it? Well, there's two reasons. The reasons I don't talk about subs during my stream is it would make my content worse. Like for example, imagine you listen to my stream and I yap for 3 hours. Now imagine during those 3 hours I interrupted myself 100 times to thank a sub. It would just objectively make the content worse. Right? So it's not I just don't do it because of that. Like I care more about my content. And also ADHD brain, I would lose my train of thought and that would happen too. It wouldn't be like I would go right back to it. Like me, when I like just yap for a 4-hour stream and it's just like nonstop yapping, that is it's like I'm surfing, you know? Like my brain is just like kind of riding the waves and, you know, jumping from one conversation or topic to the next and also conversing with all of you. And then when that's like a break, when there's a break in that, like if I had to call out a sub or if like my dog makes some really loud noise or just whatever like trips me up for a second, I like fall off my surfboard and it takes me a while to get back going again. And the most enjoyable stream experience is when I never get off and I just keep going, which is why. Didn't you have some absurd Dono sound for a while that would jump scare you? Yeah, it was a sound file of Atlas screaming yeet at the top of his lungs. I ended up turning it off because for a few reasons. Number one, it would like disrupt my thing, but it was a $25 sub. So like, hey, I'll disrupt my line of thinking for $25 at a certain point. And then it was like, again, this is making my content worse to where that isn't even worth it. I'll probably make more than $25 by always having better content. And also it felt like sub baiting. It felt like people were like, basically what would happen is someone would sub and then I would be like, please stop doing that. You know, like half jokingly, like, hey, if you want to like gift a bunch of $25 subs, then like I'm not going to be too mad. But then like some oiler would gift 50 of them and then I would have to play the sound 50 times and I would want to turn my stream off. I would just get mad. You know? And then it's like, and then if I turn off the sounds, then it seems like I'm ungrateful. That fucking Saudi prince probably paid that money to hear that stupid noise 50 times. So now I just have to sit through it, and that happened a couple of times, and then I'm just not into it, you know. So like, yeah, I don't know. That's why I took it off, and I just don't like that. I don't know. Whenever I'm just like, oh no, guys, please don't do that, and then they do it, it seems not genuine. It seems like I'm being like trying to get people to do it, and I don't like that. So, even if it means I don't get as many gifted subs or tier 3s or money, I would rather not be annoyed or make my content worse. Dude, how's Mop Remix going, by the way? I heard they made some insanely good changes to it. So, like, when I was doing it the first time on PTR, when you were doing normal raids, there wasn't really a reason to do it. It was, like, almost just like an experience. And now they increase the experience you get from doing the normal raids, but it also gives you crazy, like, every boss gives you 12% experience permanently, so it actually makes sense for the time investment to do it. Yeah, so I think that was a great change, rather than having people just, like, spam LFR for experience, right? Which they was never going to go live. Yeah, you're going to have crazy power. Like, that's kind of the point. It's not really intended to be super balanced. They want you to be super strong. Dorky brought up a great point on the podcast last night, where he said that I wish I had the ability to graduate my character early, and I think that's such a good point. A lot of people are using this as an opportunity not only to experience mop content, but they're not making another version of their main. They're like kind of leveling another character and getting used to it and going through the class tree and spec tree and like learning the class while they're doing this mop thing. And it felt like what was I saying? Sorry, I lost my train of thought already. What's wrong with me? Let me see if I can read some stuff in here. Oh, scaling is bad? Oh, graduate character to live, yeah. So, like, imagine you go through and you play your character and you get good at it and you like it and all that stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, now I'm not a collector, so I don't want to. Now I'm max level. Let's say I've done all the heroic and mythic raids. My character is strong, whatever. And now the only reason to keep playing this is to farm this currency to get mounts and toys. Okay, let's say a player doesn't care about that. And they did this more for the leveling experience and the going through and re-seeing mop, but they've already done that. Let's say you're like, okay, well, I've done this now. Great. Now I want to, like, make this a live Dragonflight character like they'll be in a few months and do Mythic Plus. But you can't do that? They're, like, stuck in Mop Remix world for, you know, until August 16th. And I don't really know why. Right? Maybe this isn't something that affects a lot of people, so maybe that's the reason why it's not a thing. I guess something Dorky brought up, and Dorky's just like a Mythic Plus Lord. So, who knows, but... Wait, so Mop Remix is very good, but also kind of weird having level 15 to 20s carry hard scenarios and dungeons. Oh, that's such a funny... Oh, yeah, so this happened with us, too. Like, when we were grinding stuff on the way to 70... we noticed that our power level was significantly falling off the closer we got to 70. And it's the same thing when you do it with on live, right? Like, if you're leveling to a new expansion, like we're level 70 now, right? When you're going to get level 80 in the next expansion, you're going to... Like, if you're doing dungeons and spamming them for XP, just for example, and you're like level 78, if you join someone who's just as good as you, and you join a group and they're playing your same class, and same spec, same talents, everything... and they're 72, and they have more of their power from, like, last expansion, like, they're going to destroy you in that dungeon. Right? Because they just have higher stats. Like, as you level, you just lose stats as you get closer to max level because your gear's less and less relevant. But because it all scales to your level, you as a higher level feel weaker than lower characters. And I guess the only real way to solve that is to not have it scale to your level and have dungeons be a set difficulty with set mob level numbers. But that probably defeats the point, especially in Mop Remix, at least. It probably makes more sense just to have it linearly scale with your level, like on your own thing. If it's feeling weaker, but you also just get turbo one shot in some heroic dungeons. Yeah. So how are the normal raids? How are the normal raids? In Mop Remix. Like, cause I remember when we unlocked Mogushan Vaults at 25, we tried to do them and like right away, and we got slaughtered. Like it was really hard, and we were doing it with like a few of us who actually knew what we were doing too. But you're saying at 25, it's actually pretty chill. We didn't even have a lot of the good tinkers at that point, though. The first boss in Terrace fucks. Terrace in the Endless Spring. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's significantly harder at higher levels. People are cheesing with a meta gem bug. Oh, perfect. Oops, my doctor's calling me. 1 second. Boys, we have good news. We got some good fucking news. X-ray results came back. There is not even the slightest fracture. Let's fucking go. It's entire soft tissue stuff. I should be back in like a week. Holy fuck. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. That's good news. Let's go. It's important to upgrade gear. Yeah. Well, I mean, either way, I think people are going to have a ton of fun with Mop Remix. I really enjoyed it on the PTR. I don't think I'm going to play it on live. I just don't really have a reason to. Like, I don't want to level new characters. I love Mop, but I did it on the PTR. I did the full experience on the PTR. Right? Did every raid, did every dungeon, had a blast. So I've already kind of done it, and I had a great time doing it. I don't regret doing it then, really. I just enjoyed it. I don't care about the collectibles, so I have no reason to do it. But I'm glad that that a lot of people are doing it and having fun. I think it's going to be a really good thing for the game. Max, are you going to play Classic Classic? I'm still really undecided. Are you checking out the totemic tree? Yeah, everything from the alpha build this week I will be going over, yeah. Did you see they're putting private auras in Mythic Plus? Yep. I won't spend a ton of time talking about that on stream today. We talked about it at length on the podcast yesterday. But yeah, actually, Dratnos probably put this better than anyone else could, which is a very typical base Dratnos behavior. Busting out my favorite format to examine how the private auras worked out in Dragonflight. Here's hoping it's less bad in the War Within. And this is in response to finding out that for the first time ever, private auras will exist in dungeons. Okay, the very top level. This was genius. It saved us from solving a mechanic with weak auras. There hasn't been an example of that. Pretty good. Made a good YOLO mechanic safe. This is actually true. This is a positive change. Blaze, Dark Flame Cleave, and Rending Charge. All three of these spells. So Dark Flame Cleave is the P1 Mythic Fire Rack, like circle spread mechanic. Every single one of these mechanics were just fine to YOLO. And if they didn't have a private aura, you would have absolutely had a weak aura on your screen assigning you to a circle, assigning you to a marker, and solving it for you. So this is a very limited amount of examples, but these are examples of private auras doing what they're intended to do and them doing it correctly. Not amazingly. It wasn't like, holy fuck, this is great, but definitely a positive impact. All these things didn't matter whatsoever, other than just be slightly annoying in like where your debuffs are. These were bad, and these were unbelievably bad. Although the stuff at the bottom was like an issue with the mechanics being unbelievably fucking bad in general. It had less to do with private auras. Like, for example, if a private aura didn't exist and a weak aura existed, they would still just be bad mechanics. Right? That's the primary cause, but like the double dipping of like really bad, annoying mechanic, but also weird private aura interaction. But now they're going to put them on dungeon stuff. I won't go super into it because we talked about it more on the podcast, but it does mean they have to add better animations in-game. And if they're going to make something a private aura in a dungeon, and because of that, they're going to try way harder on the animations for it, I think that's overall a W because, I don't know, if that's what it takes for them to make good animations, then so be it, right? But I don't know. I just in general think that private auras were listed as a solution for people using weak auras for mechanics, but as long as the mechanic is hard enough and the mechanic is made easier by a weak aura, people are still going to use weak auras. They're just going to find a way around it with macros, and they cannot nerf or get rid of that. I could explain in a really long-winded way as to why, but basically there's just no fucking way for them to make it the macro thing not work, like ever, until they just completely disable like add-ons in general. And so that just means that anything that you're going to still use a weak aura for, you just have to press a macro now, which is annoying. And I don't think the small amounts of positives make up for how bad the negatives are. And then even just in general, like where the debuffs show up on your UI is just like the private aura frame thing is just like, why is, it's just bad. It's just, this is a problem that needs to be solved. But the solution, them making more private auras tells me that they think that private auras are the solution to the problem. And I think a lot of other people strongly feel that private auras are real stinky. I don't know. They're not the solution. So seeing them double down on it as if it's been working successfully is crazy because it's been a huge mess, I think. Not to mention how bad it is for healers. Yeah, Dratnos brought that up here where someone said, as a healer, I hate to object massively to many of these. Not being able to customize how I show things like Blaze and Greater Firestorm or Raid Trains is absolutely a big deal. Made the mechanics way harder and more annoying for me to deal with. It is a question of accessibility. This is a great point, and I'll fully agree with Dratnos afterwards, which is fair. This was an axis I did not consider at all, and then in parentheses, following my general rule of only thinking about healers when it's time to flame them. And that's my exact response as well. I'm sure as a healer this differs significantly, but also we just don't care, man. You know what I mean? Just heal, man. So all right, let's get into these little notes. Wait, I'm gonna text my friend that it didn't get fractured. Let's go. I wonder how much it really impacts people who aren't the cutting edge raiders. Oh, private auras? I want to say that so far private auras have only ever been relevant for mythic raiders. Like even in heroic, it just doesn't matter. Like the mechanics that are hard enough for something being a private aura existing don't matter in heroic. Like it's just too easy of a difficulty for any of it to thing. But it's been a huge plague for anyone who does mythic. But that could be changing. Them adding these into Mythic Plus very easily. It's something that could affect every level of Mythic Plus where this becomes a huge problem. And I hope it doesn't too. I hope they do it right. There are examples of private auras being done, and it has made the game better. There's not a lot of them, but they're absolutely there. And if you add in the fact that it forces them to make better in-game animations knowing that, I think it's overall could be just fine or maybe a good thing. But it's just worrying to see like it's worrying seeing more private aura stuff because it means that they've had a meeting about this. And the result of that meeting was the general feeling of like, all right, private auras worked. Let's do more of them. Because the idea that private auras have worked for anyone who's interacted with them is nonsense. It's really flawed. All right, let's look at these notes, baby. Let's look at these fucking notes, though. Where they be? Oh, probably next page. Oh no, the War Within Alpha Development Notes. I see it right here. Can I click on it fast enough? Fuck me. Fuck. Fuck. I just saw it before I hit the next page. Wowhead, go faster? Malnourished, what's up, bro? Alright, here we go. Alpha Development Notes. Don't harm me. Yo, brah, by the way, I would knock you the fuck out. Remember that. Here we go. Let's look at these little noties. I think it's this one. Okay. New allied race. Earthen and their introductory questline are now available to test. I thought you could already make an Earthen. Didn't I make an Earthen at some point? I, like, made a little rock guy. But maybe they added their, like, empower racial spell, which would be kind of interesting to look at. Not sure. Oh, by the way, what's the best way for me to do this content? Would it be putting my window here and resizing it and increasing the size so it's easier to see? But then what would go above my camera? I guess just my chat? Suppose that works. Oh, wait, I just realized, guys, I have to lift later, and... if I don't eat, I won't have any energy. I was supposed to eat before in my starting soon screen, but I was talking instead. Let me just fucking crash this real quick. Did you just threaten a guy in chat? Yeah, I did. I don't know what came over me. Shaq inspired me to say that. Name a vegetable better than broccoli. Go. Carrots are actually not true. That's actually false. Dude, how can carrots be better than broccoli? That doesn't even make sense. Like, there's viable answers. Carrots are not one of them. Brussels sprouts? Facts. Bro, why do kids, like, hate Brussels sprouts? Like, if you want, or at least in pop culture, if they're, like, making a scene with a child actor at the dinner table with their family, they'll be like, ew, Brussels sprouts. Like, it's like the vegetable to hate. But Brussels sprouts are absolute fire. Dude, I ran into a problem. Yesterday, I thought I was done with the D4 season, so I gave away 200 million gold to my viewers. And then I realized when I woke up today that I want to keep playing, and now I have no gold. It's kind of brutal. Get it back? Nah, I ain't about to do that. All right. Woo! Let's fucking go, baby. Let's go. All right, here we go. Wait. Where are we here? This is the new one? There we go. Earthen and their introductory quest line are now available to test. Wow. The following hero talents are available for playtesting in Public Alpha 5. Shaman Totemic, which is enhanced at Resto. What's the flavor text? They excel in unlocking the full power of their totems, strengthening their totems, and getting access to new ones. They have honed their imbuement skills to further improve their combat capabilities. Yo. Alright, do we just look at that? I think we just start with that. Maybe. Let me see. Let me briefly overview what we got here. Looks like we got a unholy kind of look through last week for DK, so I guess now we're getting like a Giga Frost thing. That's cool. Hero talent changes for Druid. Some feral changes. Some devastation. A single devastation change is probably not super important. Oh, that is interesting. It's okay. We'll talk about that later. That's probably a good change. Or I don't know if it's good or bad because I don't play devastation right now. I know what they're trying to do, and it's probably a good change for the majority of players. We'll talk about that later. Preservation, healer stuff, mage stuff, hero talent changes, fire stuff. Oh, okay, interesting. Some monk stuff, lightsmith, hero talent stuff, void weaver. Interesting. Farseer change, Diablo stuff, demonology, Colossus. Bro, I haven't read this. I'm gonna read this later. But hey, they need to make Colossus way bigger. If you are in a 20-man raid and one of your warriors has spec'd Colossus, you should be able to look at a still picture of the raid at any given point and know exactly who that player is. Because they're so goddamn colossal. And then protection change, PvP. Don't care. And oh, UI stuff. Yike. Okay. Let's start. Okay, so let's do the they probably have a good one on Wowhead. They probably made a thing like Totemic here. Oh, where do I find Totemic? It's probably days late now. Yeah, that's the data mined one. They usually make like a... Oh, it's just straight up on the talent calculator? Oh, sweet. Let's start with Resto Shaman. Let's end with Enhance, then maybe we'll play it. I gotta blow my nose real quick. Dude, why do I get so stuffy in my house, and specifically this room? Is it because the dogs are in here all the time? Do I need like a better air purifier? Maybe the humidity is fucked. Like, there's too much humidity? Is that the idea? Or it needs humidity? Dude, before I even get into this, I'm about to buy multiple things to fix this. Just open a window. Well, I could open a window. Here we go. So, humidifier. Guys, what's the best humidifier? There has to be an objective best one. You have a Levolt. Find a humidifier tier list. Wait, what is this thing? A Dyson purifier, humidify, and cool formaldehyde. What? What the fuck is this thing? What is the point of this? That sounds... Bro, formaldehyde, that's a word that I wasn't expecting. About this item. Multifunctional, intelligently purifies, humidifies, and cools you. Latest generation automatically purifies and humidifies for a healthier environment. Detects and destroys formaldehyde released from household items. What the fuck? Bro. That's such a random... I don't even care about being cooled. I just, whatever. We'll look at this later. Alright. I set a reminder. I'll buy it after my stream. We'll look at this in a second. I gotta go blow my nose. Twitch L. Alright, moving on. Totemic. Let's start. From Resto's point of view. I'm just going to read the Resto first. So it's a 20-second cooldown. It summons a totem at your feet that immediately and every 5 seconds casts Healing Rain within 30 yards where allies are present. And it's a stronger Healing Rain. Last 20 seconds. So Healing Rain... I don't know what the cast time of that is, but, I mean, that sounds good. Healing Rain is something that Resto Shamans like, but with the cast time associated with it and the mana, I'm assuming having another thing cast it for you, assuming it actually works well, would be nice. The only thing is you can't really target it, but I'm assuming if this is made well, it's going to target the biggest group of people, which is, I guess, ideal. I don't know, just in general, as a concept, that just sounds cool. That sounds nice. Let's keep moving. Chain Heal now jumps to a nearby totem once it reaches its max targets, causing it to bounce an additional time to a nearby ally. Okay, so if your Chain Heal was going to stop bouncing because it ran out of people, or it continues bouncing if there was a smaller amount of people, it will just bounce an additional time. Okay. It seems kind of minor. It's 4 free healing rains. Healing rain is a 2-second baseline cast, so it's 4 free healing rains. Yeah, I mean, so assuming it goes on the right people, just this alone. Remember how we talked about how in most trees you can read the first thing and you're like, okay, this is gonna be good. I feel like that. This already for Resto seems like it'll be nice. Also, I haven't read this yet, but I have seen positive sentiment while I've been playing Diablo over the last few days. Just random chatters would come in and be like, man, Totemic is great for Resto, so not surprising. But we'll wait to hear a take on that from Resto Shamans after this. Increases the size and radius of your totems by 15% and the health of your totems by 30%. Health must be a PvP thing. The size of your totems is, like, kind of okay for something like Spirit Link or Windrush, maybe, but that's, like, just turbo minor. What's the other one? Successfully removing a harmful effect with those things. Okay, so your totems doing what they're supposed to do will reduce their CD. And then it cannot occur more than once every 20 seconds per totem. Why would it specify that? They're all longer... Oh, Poison Cleansing Totem. Even then, I mean, even if it worked with Poison Cleansing Totem like that, it's fine. That would make Poison Cleansing Totem cool in a very, very unique niche situation. It doesn't matter either way. That choice node seems super whatever. I would say just a slight negative is not defining of the whole tree, but this entire node just seems super boring. Both options don't seem fun. They're, like, pretty basic. Increase the duration of your Earthling effect by 6 seconds. I don't know what that means. Quick W or L in the chat for this third one here. Don't tell me, by the way, I do not tell me what Earth Living does. I don't care about that. I just want to know if it's a W or not. Okay, W. Okay, cool. Choice node down the middle. While Surging Totem is active, which is this thing, your damage and healing done is increased by 3%. So you just always, it's just a 3% healing buff. Okay. While Ascendance is active, Surging Totem is 150% more effective. Now that's way cooler. I mean, yeah, these are the kind of choice nodes I like. Do you want to do more healing all the time? Or do you want to have a stronger cooldown window? And Shamans are actually a class that struggle having real effective cooldowns compared to other healers, especially this expansion. With a lot of DPS, I think choice nodes like this are less interesting because there's just kind of a mathematical answer. But with healers and tanks, which is why those specs are usually really interesting to play, is it's much more feely crafty, much more depends on the situation, and you actually feel like you have more choice. And with good design, of course. This is one of those nodes. I bet you right now, assuming Ascendance is decently tuned, no clue if it is currently. If it's decently tuned, I bet that there will be fights where you use either one of these things. So it seems nice. Wind Barrier. If you have a totem active, your totems grant you a shield absorbing damage every 30 seconds for 30 seconds. So Pride as? Right? Is that... I mean, you always have a totem active, right? I'm sure it doesn't scale with the amount of totems you have. Because that would not be fun. Right? Oh, wait. This random 30-second ICD is about to come off cooldown. Let me drop all my totems to get a bigger shield. It's probably just a baseline. If you have a totem active, you'll get a shield. Which does give you some level of control, too. Because I guess if you really needed to live a massive damage hit, and this was actually tuned pretty well, you do actually have the option of maybe not having a totem down. Maybe you delay Surging Totem for like 3 seconds, so you definitely get the Pride as for that exact damage event, which would give Shamans especially in like higher Mythic Plus, something they don't have now, which is they're actually probably one of the worst classes at the high Mythic Plus requirement, where you just need to have a little something for this mechanic that keeps happening every like 30 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever, and this could actually give them some like effective max HP that's decently controllable for stuff like that, so that's kind of nice. I wonder if that's their full defensive node. If it is, it would have to be because again, if they're gonna do hero talent defensives in every tree, which they are, and they've just decided on that, we've already don't need to do a whole long talk about how there's too many defenses in the game, and that's really negative effect on everything. There are classes that do need extra defensives if they're not gonna go with the prune all of the defensive things. There are classes that just need it. This is one of those classes, so I hope they end up getting one, or I hope they get more than this. Increases the damage and healing of Surging Totem by 25%. Cool. Learn a new weapon imbue. Can only be applied to shields, so wants you to play one-hander and shield. Increases your healing done by 2% and increases the duration of your healing stream totem and cloudburst totem by 3 seconds. Okay. So Cloudburst Totem being increased is super interesting. Healing Stream Totem is just like a little bit better, right? And I think these are a choice node now. So it's like Healing Stream is like the super brain off thing, and Cloudburst is usually the one that's pretty fun. I don't understand about the forcing the weapon. I don't know if shamans normally play one-hander and shield. I guess thematically that's what you're wanting to do. But I don't see the reason of like supportive imbuements being the best option, and then it's like, oh, I just looted a really high level staff, now I have to play another talent. I get the theme thing, but that just seems like a weird restriction in the year of our Lord 2024. I know I'm not super mad about it, but I just think this entire thing could exist without the weapon requirement, and it would just be better. We'll not look at that yet. Usually I like to read that at the end. Your Healing Tide Totem, Healing Stream Totem, Cloudburst, Mana Tide, Spirit Link Totem cast a free instant chain heal when you summon them. Okay, so 3-minute cooldown. Cooldown, 30-second cooldown. 3-minute cooldown. Okay. That's nice. Because also chain heal's like actually good again. That's nice. I mean, it's not like game breaking, but it's just gonna make. I mean, I think they worked on this. Do you guys remember in BFA when they tried to add everyone's offensive cooldown to the global, and how difficult that was to deal with, and everyone hated it? But there was a few of them they did right. And they learned that if you're going to put something on the global that doesn't give you immediate value, it kind of feels bad. So what they did was they like changed some of them to have some big upfront hit. So like Arcane Surge being Arcane's like main cooldown, like they churned that into something that it like gives you a huge starter hit. And like rogues have Deathmark now instead of Vendetta. It's objectively the same thing. It's just like you get it's like a dot, and you like the global feels like it has value when you use it. This is like kind of that same thought process, but for healers. And it's like, hey, sometimes it feels bad to spend a global on these things because you can't use that global to heal, but like that decision isn't like, you're not going to feel bad about pressing that now because it's going to come with some power. It's also going to give you the ability to like heal at really low mana values when you're actually in like a progression scenario. Like you go and you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna slam these totems to get a little bit extra healing out too. I really like this actually. What is it, Max? This is previous tier. Oh, did this used to exist on tier? That's cool. We like that. Your healing spells cause your healing stream totems to heal a nearby ally immediately at 50% effectiveness. Your healing spells cause your healing stream totems. Can you have multiple out at once? To heal a nearby. Oh yeah, you can, right? Doesn't it have 2 charges or something like that. To heal a nearby ally immediately at 50% effectiveness. Okay, that seems fine. And then Cloudburst will just store 25% additional healing. I'm unfamiliar with Cloudburst, at least with. Does it have a cap? And that cap is really easily reached, so now this will just make Cloudburst bigger. If the cap is relevant, then maybe that could be cool. I don't know enough about it. No cap? Yeah, no cap. Chain heals from your totems are 30% more effective. That's one of them, and that's from when you drop this. Also, isn't there another way to chain heal from your totem? Oh, like this thing, right? Kind of? That seems kind of weak. Allies affected by your Earthen Wall totem, Ancestral Protection totem, and Earth Living effect receive 10% increased healing from you. That's crazy, right? That's fucking wild. That turns APT into like a cooldown window for you. A little bit. That's... And I mean, Earthen Wall totem, same thing. And I have no idea what Earth Living does still. Do not tell me what that means. All right, cool. That seems great. The other one seems weak. Okay, last one. Elemental motes orbit around your surging totem. Your abilities consume the motes for enhanced effects. Water. Your next healing wave or healing surge also heals an ally inside of your healing rain at 100% effectiveness. So, okay, because, perfect. So every 20 seconds, to make this global feel worth it, your next, like, 3 things you do are empowered. Okay, so for air, the cast time of your next healing spell is reduced by 40%, just in general. And the earth one is your next chain heal applies earth living at 150% effectiveness to all targets hit. Okay, I have to know what earth living does now. They keep mentioning it. Someone tell me what earth living is. Earth living is a weapon imbue that procs every now and then, and it's just a hot. It's a random hot on your heals. Okay, and I'm assuming it's good. Right? It would have to be good for your next chain heal definitely applying it. Right? It's kind of like Dream Breath. You know how like Dream Breath hits people and then it like gives them a hot after the initial thing? It'll feel like that, right? Like your chain heal will definitely leave a hot and you know that those people are chilling. It's meh. Okay. Well, I like the design of this. Regardless of the power level of these things. Like the idea that you're going to be doing something every 20 seconds, it's really active. The idea that, like, you're always going to get, like, 3 empowered effects that happen directly after this is going to make that global feel so good, and it's, like, almost like a little mini cooldown window. I'm not sure if the things they chose are correct, but I think that's an awesome, awesome idea for that. So, what are Resto Shaman takes on this? Someone said YouTube, or, Thune made a YouTube video giving his opinions. That's 22 minutes. We're definitely not watching that. But it says, Totemic Resto Shaman, are we back? It says it's a big W, looks great for Resto. I really like it. Okay, well, if it seems like it's at least average to positive, Resto Shaman, sounds like Resto Shaman is going to join... Man. And this is not an objective. This is pretty subjective. This is my opinion on good talent trees. It's going to join... Red Paladin, Shadow Priest, every spec of Mage for some reason. And I think that's it for classes that have... Or, sorry, specs that have the ability to have 2 really well-designed good hero talents. Dev Evoker, yeah. Yeah, Evoker has that too. Yeah, Dev Evoker has 2 really good ones. Maybe some other specs that I'm less familiar with. I think Warlocks have like a couple of good ones, but I know Warlocks always hate everything, so it's really hard to get a gauge on that if you don't play it. But yeah, so that's solid for Resto. Let's look at Enhance. So Enhance's other one is Stormbringer. I played it a little bit on the PTR. I enjoyed it. But I'm interested to see how Enhance works with Totemic. Okay, so Enhance. Summons a totem at your feet. Summons a totem at your feet that immediately... Or that creates a tremor immediately. What is a tremor? I guess maybe like a spell effect I'm not aware of. And every 5 seconds within 30 yards where enemies are present, it just does damage. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. Replaces Wind Fury totem. Passive, your Wind Fury weapon enchant grants the effects of Wind Fury totem to nearby party members within 30 yards. Okay, well, that's definitely a dub. speccing Wind Fury and actually pressing it when you're constantly moving around, you can do like this little macro where like it'll automatically project it to you, so like it'll kind of move with you. It's super tedious. So automatically, at least a small W, I'd say more than small, quality of life just having that be passive. In fact, I would maybe even consider just making that how it works, because not playing totemic will feel significantly worse just because you have to press that button, and that says a lot, but whatever. But the actual thing is, where Shaman gets free healing rains that are more powerful than regular ones, assuming the targeting is decent, the one that Enhance has is certainly less interesting than that, even including the passive. So overall, just the whole design of it right now just doesn't seem as good. But okay, we'll see how that goes. I don't know how big the tremor is, but the tremor happens immediately, and apparently every 5 seconds it does an AoE in a 30-yard radius, which is kind of interesting. So it's just going to always do damage. Interesting. Let's see. Storm Strike is a chance to unleash a surging bolt at your surging totem. Storm Strike has a chance to unleash a surging bolt at your surging totem, increasing the totem's damage by 10% and then redirecting the bolt from your target or to your target for nature damage. The damage bonus effect can stack. Okay, so now every time you press Storm Strike, you're like ramping the damage of this surging totem. Okay. So, small problem with that. The other tree, Stormbringer, is certainly making you want to play Storm Enhance. And spamming Storm Strike is something that's kind of consistent with playing Storm Enhance as well. So, like, I mean, this doesn't not affect Ellie, but it, oh, I mean, it looks like here these are, like, more fire-based, but even then, that's, like, they need to kind of both affect both to feel good. Like, for example, let's say you're playing Ellie, you probably don't want half of your tree to be focused on Storm stuff, and then vice versa, especially if there's already an entire other hero talent tree that is working with Storm, right? I mean, we've talked about this problem before they ever released these, that, like, DPS shamans have a very unique problem in that they have just they like Ellie and Enhance have multiple different elements and multiple significantly different playstyles within their own talent tree that involve a widely different array of talents, which is both a good thing and in this kind of a situation can be problematic. It looks like that might be what's happening here. Anyways, continue. Increases the size and radius totems. We already talked about that. Okay, we already talked about that with the other node. Increases the chance for Wind Fury weapon to trigger by 10 and its damage by 15. I don't actually really know how I play Enhance a lot, but I don't know exactly how powerful that specific effect is. Seems kind of mid. Stuff at the top. Okay. While Surging Totem is active, your damage and healing done is increased by 3, so just passive damage increase, or while Ascendance is active, Surging Totem is... So what's interesting about Enhance and Ascendance is typically the only way you interact with Ascendance is by playing Deeply Rooted Elements and getting it to proc. You don't, like, press Ascendance. So that's going to be, like, super random. Maybe more... I mean, we talked about this with healers, that maybe with DPS, it's always just going to be a numbers thing. Where just one is just kind of better. Like, you can't really plan on Oversurge being better unless you're able to actually talent Ascendance and not... I forget, is that actually how it is for Enhance? Like, it's right here. Okay, so you can actually talent Ascendance. Maybe this is them trying to lead you into that, because, like, it's just so much better to have the random procs conventionally. I don't know, kind of interesting. I mean, I would like this a bit if Ascendance is just playing actual Ascendance is more of an option, and having Enhance having an actual real strong cooldown option, which is but is Ascendance still a 3-minute? Yeah, then that's the problem, because like 3-minute cooldowns are so hard to make in this game because they have to be so fucking good to make it make sense that it's 3 minutes, right? Historically, Demonic Tyrant, Gargoyle and Army. If you want to go back in time a little bit, Venthir Moonkin. Ashen Hollow, kinda, but a little longer cooldown, but same concept. The few times in this game that they actually made a 3-minute cooldown not a hindrance, but such a positive, and it's tuned correctly to make up for the cooldown. When every good cooldown in this game is 2 minutes or lower, and then you make a 3-minute that actually correctly gives it the power level for it being 50% longer than usually the longest cooldown, it is too overpowered. You can stack too much stuff with it, and it makes the class super one-dimensional, like C DKs this whole expansion, right? Unholy DKs. So I just think it's a really hard design problem to make a 3-minute really cool. It's almost like Ascendance and Deeply Rooted Elements almost need to be combined, right? Like, to make Ascendance as a 3-minute cooldown not go through all those problems, it needs to be a reasonably powerful 3-minute cooldown that also randomly procs on your abilities, right? Rather than having to choose one or the other. Because if you're gonna choose, it is a like numbers thing, but generally speaking with numbers things, it's gonna be the one that like randomly procs, because 3 minutes are just hard to plan around. You can't line it up around other classes like Lust and stuff, and it's just, you know, all the problems we just talked about. So interesting that it's on Ascendance, but I mean, I don't know if I'll hate a world where like you actually play Ascendance because of that. But anyways, if you have a totem active, your totems grant you a shield. We talked about that. Increase the damage and healing of Searing Totem, Surging Totem by 25%. Increasing the critical strike chance of Flame Toggle by 15. And its critical strike damage by 30. I don't know. Again, similar to this. See, why aren't these the same node? Like, this is basic enough to where it's like, they like, did you kind of run out of idea? Like, this is a really weird choice node. This seems like they made this tree for Resto, and then they were like, we gotta make one for Enhanced too. Clearly they went with the vibe of like, okay, Storm on the left, Ellie on the right, but let's see if that ends up being problematic, because it already seems kind of weird for Ellie, seeing as half of the hero talent tree doesn't apply to them, really. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Okay. Lava Lash has a chance to summon a Searing Totem to attack a nearby enemy for 8 seconds. That's fine. In a full Storm build, you hate pressing Lava Lash. Sometimes even in like AoEing a pack, if you put up a Lava Lash and spread it, if you choose to even grab like these talents right here, like the ones that spread it, sometimes you'll get so many procs as a Storm build that you won't even want to press Lava Lash again. So like this is, again, just a node that's going to just get hella bad value. The next one is Frost Shocks, empowered by Hailstorm and Fire Nova. Cause your Searing Totems to shoot a volley of fireballs at up to 5 nearby enemies. That's pretty cool. That's really cool for Ellie. The elemental version of Enhanced. But again, there are physical Storm versions of Enhanced that don't play Hailstorm or Fire Nova. So, again, you're just really strange choice to do that. Increases the critical strike chance of your Searing Totem's attacks by 15%. And its critical strike damage by 30. Casting Sundering within 40 yards of a Surging Totem causes it to create a tremor at 200% effectiveness at the target area. Oh, that's potentially really cool. But then again, it's like, at least it's a choice node that's forcing you into a talent. Don't know if I necessarily hate that. Oh, that's... But, I mean, if you're playing Ellie, though, this is cool. Like, if you're playing Ellie Enhanced, like, this is sweet. But, like, if this is the tree that isn't entirely baked for the Storm build, why does Ellie have to have an entire row nuked from orbit for them? And when I say Ellie, by the way, I'm referring to, like, Elemental Enhance. Weird. Okay, and then the bottom, let's see what the motes do for Enhance. This could actually bring it all together. Elemental motes orbit around your thing. So this is whenever you press every 20 seconds, the next 3 things you do will be, for each of these elements will be enhanced. So for enhance for air, your next Storm Strike or Wind Strike deals 25% increased damage and damages 1 nearby enemy at 75% effectiveness. Okay. I guess it has some value, right? Because I'm assuming that will give you an extra stack onto your totem for Tremor or whatever. Earth, casting Sundering or Ellie Blast. Refunds 12 seconds from its cooldown. If it's like, okay, just the first Ellie Blast or Sundering you do just refunds a charge. That's nice. Okay, and increases the critical strike chance of your next Fire Nova or Lava Lash by 15% and its critical strike damage by 30. That one seems less cool. Why not even just be damage, you know? Like, critical strike chance and damage. Is there some crit synergy with Fire Nova or Lava Lash that I don't know about? Why isn't it just damage? Because then it's just, like, making your crit stat kind of feel worse. I mean, I guess it's giving a little crit damage. Just, Ellie Shaman's crit damage does more. Physical build will never play Ellie Blast, by the way. Oh, interesting. So you're buffing a spell you don't care about. Like, maybe you'll get some value from Sunder. Yeah. Okay, so if this for Resto was real good, like an A or S tier, for Enhanced, this seems a lot less interesting than the other one, and my worst fears came to light, I think, with this, which is that Enhanced Shamans have two very different builds that have two big fan bases of them. And one of them had a hero talent made for it, and the other one is split in half between the two. So if you're someone who enjoys Elemental Enhance, you probably got to be feeling not awesome. Huh. I think the thing I like the most about this is this choice node still. Kind of like that, but DPS is less interesting. Okay, so not great. Let's move on. Probably going to spend a lot of time on Frost Decay, so let's go through the other stuff first, because I'm certainly going to spend the most time on this. Love Frost Decay. Okay. Druid of the Claw, hero talent changes. Probably not going to cover these in depth unless I'll maybe browse them. So Keeper of the Grove. This was the one that is deeply not thematic for Moonkin players. And even Resto Druids are not a huge fan of the whole tree situation right now. But when I looked at this initially, it looked like Keeper of the Grove might actually have been one of the better gameplay ones. But it looks like they're buffing it. Like, the choice node where they generate more astral power is buffed by double. There's more CDR for Force of Nature. I'm assuming to line up with something that it wasn't before. Although this is, you want Force of Nature in this scenario to line up with Celestial Alignment, but apparently that cooldown changes based on your stats, right? They updated a certain one. They changed a couple of things. I'm not going to look at all of this. Keeper of the Grove Moonkin followers. Is this a W or an L, these changes? I mean, it looks like they're just buffing it, but maybe they made some... Wow. Power of Nature now increases Force of Nature's treant melee damage by 100%, was 20. Okay, that means... That buffed by 5 times. That means those were doing absolutely 0 damage. Okay. Max, make sure to read the Frost Decay development notes before reading the patch notes. Sure. Okay, no one knows? Cool. High value. Very sick. I love not knowing stuff. Cool. Moving on. Wildstalker. Just gonna briefly look at it. Is Wildstalker the, like, the thorns-focused bleed feral thing? I at least liked the initial premise of that, because I wish dot classes were dot classes again, but it didn't seem thematically great or really powerful. Okay. Yeah, I don't... Move off of all this. Okay, feral. Okay, some stuff. Oh, here's one. Devastation. Animosity. So Animosity was the thing where when you pressed Essence... Or sorry, Empowered abilities, so Fire Breath and Eternity Surge, it added length onto your Dragon Rage. When you had Giga Haste or you were in Lust or whatever, you would always really easily get the, like, second Fire Breath and Eternity Surge in your thing. So, like, you would pop Dragon Rage, you would use both of your things right away, and then, like, you would get the next ones super easy. It's the one after that where you're hoping to, like, generate enough to actually cast them again. And that was something that I guess Blizzard's trying to remove, that friction, where, like, it's a little bit of a skill gap thing, it's a little bit of a haste, like, stats thing. And And like there's a lot of stress near the end of the rotation of like trying to make sure you get it, and like the feeling of getting it is great and the feeling of missing it is horrible if it's possible. So I can understand people not liking that there's less skill expression in a class that's already okay. I could see it. Dev's really fun. I don't play it currently. I won't give a too strong of a take about it. But Devastation was clearly made to be like ranged Havoc Demon Hunter. Right. I mean, even in that example, I guess, Havoc Demon Hunter does have an inertia option, which is pretty involved. But they clearly wanted to remove that feeling. And I could see that maybe being a good thing, but also if I was a really good player and I really enjoyed going for that and I liked that about Dev, I could see not liking this change. Also, there's some weird stuff with externals, like if you felt like you needed PI, for example, to get far enough into your Dragon Rage to actually get this, you feeling awful for not having it, like knowing what you're missing is like a worse, not as bad of a feeling. I don't know. It also makes you not want to like have to leave range of the boss, and it makes you like turrets like during your cooldown you're just so focused on it. But like I don't know, there's probably some value in getting your first extension and just knowing that you can play normally and not have to like insanely greed. I'm interested to hear some opinions on Evokers, but I understand why they made this change. Preservation. I don't know what this means. Reversions tooltip has been updated to include golden... Okay, moving on. Mage. Barrier diffusion. When one of your barriers is removed, reduce its cooldown by 4 seconds, located in Dragon's Breath previous location. Does that involve mass barrier? So at a base level, this is just all of your personal barriers have less cooldown. But I wonder if you mass barrier and it gets consumed on all 5 players, if it will take 20 seconds off of the cooldown of mass barrier, which would be quite strong. I'm sure it's been 4 days. I'm first time reacting to notes 4 days late, so maybe someone's tested that. Supernova added to mage class tree, choice node with Dragon's Breath. Interesting. Supernova now has a 45-second cooldown. Was 20. I don't know what Supernova is. Let's look. It's the giant knock-up for Arcane. And they put it near the bottom. Oh, it's like it's a choice between 2 different stops. Except this one, I guess, gives you more prio. Yeah, whatever. No opinion. Ice Nova is now a choice node with Ring of Frost. Mass Slow has been removed. Ice Nova is now a choice node with Ring of Frost. So Ring of Frost is just generally more useful than Ice Nova, but didn't Ice Nova used to be a like Frost DPS spell? So now Frost mages will take this for damage, and Fire and Arcane will take this for just cool CC. So the end result, yeah, like you just said, is basically Frost just loses Ring of Frost, which, again, if we're going to be thinking thematically, it's kind of weird to be like, hey, our mage is playing Frost, and then in the back of your head you're thinking, okay, that means that this is the one mage spec without Ring of Frost. That's weird. Right? And just one spec just loses some utility. Not like mages are in a position to really complain about that, but I could see being a mage player and being like, what gives? Okay, whatever. Sun Fury, okay, more hero talent changes. I'm assuming Sun Fury is still really cool. Maybe they're just making it less broken or crazy. Also, one of just the most involved ones. You summon a fucking Arcane Phoenix, which was super cool. Arcane, they removed a few talents. They didn't even add new ones. Crackling Energy and Improved Arcane Missiles are now a 1-point talent. Lay Drinker now consumes this time's amount of 6. Oh, they brought back Reverberate, and they just removed this other talent. Know nothing about the regular tree, so I'll completely ignore that. Surging Blaze removed. Majesty of Phoenix Firestarter's position has changed. Oh, this Fevered Incantation. I know that word. So I'm assuming that was nerfed. That seems like something that people take. I've heard that talent name before. So that might just be a nerf. Pyromaniac is now implemented, and you're saying it's super bugged. Interesting. Okay. Frost, Ice Barriers Absorb increased to 24% of max health plus 22. Pretty marginal slight buff. Cool. Monk, when you get the Instant Vivify proc talent, it also increases that Vivify's healing. Mistweaver Revival now dispels up to 3 magical debuffs off of each target, and it was uncapped. This is a change that's mainly targeted at Battlegrounds, where Revival's been overly oppressive to the other specs that rely on magic debuffs to function. We're not expecting this to impact PvE. Cool. Fucking RBG. Sweet. Windwalker. Fury of Zwen, which is a talent I love, but is commonly not good enough, now increases Haste, Mastery, and Crit by 3%. Was Critical Strike chance by 5. Okay, so probably a buff to this. It also was only critical chance by 5 for 1 total week. I think it was haste always before this, and they just, like, last week or the week before made it crit. So now you'll get, like, a total of 9% of all 3 stats. You don't mind getting haste now, because haste is, at least, I'm not sure about stat weights, but it conceptually should be stronger this expansion. Mastery has always been fine, and crit's good. So just a more powerful Fury of Zwen. I would love this talent to be more competitive all the time. I just think it's a really cool one. Especially as now it's going to have a little bit more synergy with Conduit. Verse stacking class with no verse synergy. Bro, no class should stack verse. Like, it should be Blizzard's goal of identifying every single class that stacks verse in an ideal scenario for damage and change that, which is what they're doing with Windwalker. I hope they continue doing that. Also, just fucking remove verse from the game, by the way, or make it PvP only. Verse should not be in the game. Okay, Lightsmith. Lightsmith stinks. Hopefully they're making it stink less. Ret, Radiant Glory has been updated. Wake of Ashes activates Avenging Wrath or Crusade for 10 or 12 seconds, and each Holy Power spent has a chance to activate it for 5 to 6. That is exactly what it already did. I'm assuming they're just posting this for the second part. Radiant Glory now extends the duration of an active one when it triggers. Okay, so this is just a fix. I told you they would fix this. Every time they introduce something that procs your cooldowns, it always releases on PTR or beta with the alpha. It will release not correctly. It'll always overwrite the debuff instead of extending it, and they always fix it. So that's fixed now. God Ret is fucking incredible, by the way. That's going to be one of my top 2 characters in the expansion. It is so fun to play. Wait, what is it? Old one was Holy Power Spenders. Now it's Holy Power Spent. Oh. Okay. That's good. So when you spend 5 Holy Power, for example... Yeah, that's great. If they're doing it correctly, it means that spending 5 Holy Powers... It's like, before a 3 Holy Power finisher and a 5 Holy Power finisher would each give you the same chance to proc Radiant Glory, but now, properly, the 5 Holy Power spender will give you more, which is good, right? Protection. Bastion of Light has been redesigned. I think Bastion of Light was that on use that let you get 3 free uses of Shield of the Righteous or something like that. I think that's what it used to be. Now it's your next 5 casts of Judgment generate 2 additional Holy Power. That's a lot of Holy Power. I want to say, top of my head, haven't played Prop Paladin in a while. That sounds like an awesome change and really fun to play. Sanctuary has been redesigned. Consecration's benefit persists for 4 seconds after you leave it. Okay. Overall, good change. We've been saying this forever, that Prot having to sit in their Consecrate is still super ass and horrible gameplay. They recently did this exact same change to everything DK related. And now they're just kind of applying that to Prot, which is good. This is a quality of life gain. If you immediately leave your Consecrate, you don't like immediately die. You have some time to drop Consecrate again. I still am a huge, like, I think all of this is bad, but this is certainly better than what it was before. Either make Consecrate give you a 10-second buff, but then once we're in the, see, it's the same thing. It's like a slippery slope. It's like once you do this, it's like, make it longer. Make it just apply immediately. Whatever. Or hey, have your Consecration follow you or something with a talent. You're inevitably just gonna make this not a thing, and I don't think people like this whatsoever. Light of the Titans is now a 1-point talent. Cool. Bulwark of Order now 1 point. Choice node. Crusader's Resolve. Cool. Void Weaver. The goal of these changes is to make Collapsing Void work better with Disc Priest Atonement Ramp, as well as to make Collapsing Void more relevant for encounters with lower health enemies. For Disc Priests who want to better fit Collapsing Void into their Atonement window, they can choose Void Empowerment to help with that, in addition to Devour Matter for like I don't know anything about what they're talking about. Okay, Entropic Rift, which is the thing that happens after you Void Torrent, is reduced to 8 seconds, was 10. Void Torrent now immediately summons Entropic Rift and pauses its duration until the channel is complete or interrupted. Okay, so it makes it not like you want to, okay, that's fine. Darkening Horizon extension for Entropic Rift capped at 3 seconds is 5. Void Empowerment redesign for Disc now extends your shortest atonements by 1 second, was 80% increased to your next Power Word Shield. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Void Empowerment is now a choice node with Darkening Horizon instead of Devour Matter. Okay. And for Shadow and Entropic Rift is now summoned by Shadow Crash instead of Void Torrent. Void Torrent now immediately summons Entropic Rift and pauses its duration. What? Didn't they revert that? Oh, it's reverted? They said it's probably getting reverted. They're trying it out. I mean, even before they reverted it, though, isn't it super confusing that they wrote Void Torrent now immediately summons it and pauses its duration until it's completely interrupted, but then it also just says that it doesn't spawn it anymore? Is that not insanely confusing to anyone else? Okay, whatever. Inner Quietus has been redesigned. Shadow Crash deals 400% additional damage to its primary target. And what the talent was Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain damage increased by 20%. Oh, I have a lot of feeling about this. So number one, making Shadow Crash makes like it feels like it does more damage when you're using it in single target, whatever. But I think dot classes should have talents in their tree that make their dots more powerful. I think this is a fine node. I don't know if there's a way to balance this, but I kind of miss in the game when dot classes were actually dot classes. Like where the majority of their damage was from dots. Was the hardest thing to tune of all time. Like, generally speaking, for if they were balanced on single target for a tier, anytime there was a second target, they just shit on everyone because dots are so OP when you get multi-dot. But, I don't know. All about that is weird. But you guys are saying, oh, wait, Shadow Crash now centers on your target rather than using a reticle to target a position on the ground. So it will, like, follow them until it hits? I'm interested in how people enjoy that change. You can no longer precast it, but now you don't have to worry about it missing. Or someone moving it out of it. That change sounds pretty good, but they said they want to do a choice node. Okay, so you can have a choice to either have it like this or if you want to precast it. That's great. I wish they did that more. Whenever they make changes to spells like this kind of change, and some people are like, I don't know, I kind of like it being the old way. Unless there's a reason why you really don't want it to be the old way, Having it be a choice node just seems like a super simple solution that makes everybody happy. Because there's definitely a world where this is really good for everyone, but there's a world where maybe where you don't want this. That's a good point. Shaman. Wait, the Skyreach choice node is my favorite example of that. Yeah, which is pretty funny now because it just is completely gone from the game, which is a good thing. But okay, Farseer Resto, in addition to increasing max mana, Prim capacity now also increases the max stacks of Tidal Waves 4. I don't know what that means. Oh, Jesus. Diabolist. Abyssal Dominion has been redesigned. Demo gets a million changes. Oh, there was a whole Demo rework. I don't want to read all of this. Is this a W? TLDR good? Why is it good? Like, for example, some changes they've made recently that were bad was they keep making you want to spam your boring filler instead of like actually generate resources or be casting your instant cast stuff. So they restructured the entire tree. They took away all the 2-point nodes. I mean, you can tell me this right now. Pretty much any class in the game, if you were to say, hey, we restructured your tree and removed all the 2-point nodes, that's a massive W, because simply 2 1-point nodes is just more interesting than a 2-point node at all times. They added new capstones. They made your cooldowns the center top. Made your cooldown 1 minute instead of 130. Wait, Tyrant is a 1 minute cooldown now? That's like really significant. Is it a good 1 minute, or is it like nerfed value? Because like there's actually not a lot of classes in the game that have consistently strong 1 minute burst, and we are constantly moving things around as a raid group to have those up. So that's really good for Warlock then. It's stronger than it was at 90 seconds. Oh shit. Wow, that's great. That's a great profile. Sweet. Okay, so Demo great. Warrior hero talent changes. This is good. I think in general the warrior hero talents have been kind of mid. So let's just like briefly look through this. Rally has been redesigned. When your health is brought below 35%, you gain a second wind, healing you for 12% of your max health over 2 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every minute. That fucking sucks. That's awful. Okay. Hope they, that's not Rallying Cry. Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's a defensive node. It's like a really shitty version of like the Resto Shaman druid thing where they get like when you go below a certain health threshold, it like gives you a little health or a little max health or a little healing. Like, this is fucking trash. Like, hopefully they don't consider that an actual defensive option. Dominance of Colossus, whatever. I don't know what these mean. Slayer now resets the cooldown on Raging Blow. Was Bloodthirst. I don't know what any of this stuff means. Mountain Thane. Lightning Strike's chance for Lightning Strike increased. Lightning Strike will occur 30% more often during Avatar, was 50. Okay, so buffed it overall, nerfed it during Avatar. Less power in your cooldowns, more power overall. Flashing Skies has been updated. Thunder Blast calls down a Lightning Strike on enemy it hits. Okay. Keep your feet on the ground. Now additionally increased armor by 8. Thunder Blast now generates 10 rage, was 5. Deals 20% increased damage for Prot. Okay. Very cool. Battle Scarred Veteran has been updated. Oh, that was their, like, in quotes, cheat death thing that I believe hasn't worked the entire expansion. When a damage event reduces your health below 30, the portion of that damage event that would apply to the last 30% of your health is also reduced by 80%. Nice, so it's more proactive. Cool. for example, if you're at 50% health and you receive damage for 40% health, your damage will be taken will be 20% plus 20, and then the calculation, you'll have 26% health remaining. Additionally, this change will be deployed over the next few days. Wait. They're deploying this live? Oh, that's good. So they're going to... They realized that, like, hey, this talent hasn't worked the whole expansion. We're doing it for the next expansion, but also we're just going to ship it live. Fuck it. It's been broken for too long. All right, cool. Let's get into Frost DK, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's see what they removed. Let's pull this up here. Take off my... Read the dev note first. All right, cool. I will blow my nose too. So let me... I have ads running soon, so let me just run some ads now so I can not have them run while I'm doing the tree thing. Bear back. Buddy. Your whale. Do you want your whale, buddy? Come here. Oh, Ella wants the whale. All right. What is going on in chat? Does your mommy know you talk to strangers on the internet? Better stop or I'm gonna get you grounded. And then he added him again and said blocked now. What could he have possibly have said to make you react to that? Sorry, hold up. He responded to him saying something earlier. He said, yeah, I mean, there are never mechanics to move out of that or you can't control anything. Stay in LFR, kid. He responds with, is bad at using main CD, blames mechanics, a true LFR hero projecting. Scuffed tyrant noob. Wow, real beef. I love when people do that in Twitch chat. They just like fucking go at each other. That's hype. Okay. Duplicate tab, beta, tools, worth and talent calculator, frost, rider. Let's go to 2 different windows here. Let's do that one. Let's do that one. Oh, that's way up. Okay. Talent tree still beans, class tree, but okay, this is a bit different. Frostworm's Fury is up here now. Still have the chill streak there. Have empowered room up in there. Still have breath. Capstones are avalanche, shadow frost, icy death torrent, super interesting. Auto attack critical strike. Okay, a lot of cooking here. Let's first of all just see what they removed. Fatal Fixation, Cold-Blooded Rage, and Invigorating Freeze. I don't know what those are. I want to look at those real quick. Let's go to regular Wowhead. I hate how this is a thing. You have to go to... You have to, like, make it a bigger thing to see the top. Okay. Town Calculator, DK Frost. What we're looking for is... Oh, okay. Just make it smaller again. Cool. Fuck yeah, I just ruined my whole day. Let's go. Here we go. Removed fatal fixation. Where's the search? Fatal fixation. Killing machine can stack an additional time. They removed that? Please tell me you made it passive. Oh, they did. Fuck yeah. +1 talent point. Cold-blooded rage. Okay, that was a 2-point talent. Good thing that those are gone. Frost Strike is a 10% chance on crits to grant Killing Machine. Don't think they made that passive, but I see a lot of Killing Machine stuff in here, so I'll wait on that. And Invigorating Freeze. Another 2-pointer. Gone. Love to hear that. Frost Fever crits increase the chance to grant runic power by additional 5%. Okay, they're removing some resource economy. They talked about doing that earlier. How many 2-point nodes are on their spec tree? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 2-point nodes. Pretty bad. Let's see how many new ones there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And 2 uses of the 2-point nodes are purely used for gating reasons. Like, usually the ones early are fine. Unholy is the same thing. A lot of classes do the same thing. And they use it again in the capstone tree as a way to kind of really make you force yourself into this kind of stuff, obliteration or breath, which is kind of like the design thing of that is like clearly it's like one or the other, but that's been problematic in the past. So let's see how they plan on addressing that. Anyways, here's the new tree. Let's look at what they did. So new talent, Shattered Frost. When Frost Strike consumes 5 Razor Ice stacks, it deals 50% of the damage dealt to nearby enemies. Okay, so cleaving Frost Strike, and it is square root capped at 8, and it's available as a capstone. Okay, so Frost Strike giving you AoE value. New talent, Cryogenic Chamber. Every time Frost Fever deals damage, 15% of the damage is dealt and gathered into the next cast of Remorseless Winter up to 20 times. Okay, so just powering up Remorse. That sounds pretty good. So it's just gonna basically just this talent means Remorseless Winter, the actual spell itself, will do more damage. That sounds really good. Consuming Killing Machine fires a Glacial Advance through your target. Available as a new capstone directly after Obliteration. That was a tier bonus, and I played Frosty K in the tier. This must have been Sepulcher. Was this the Sepulcher bonus? I definitely remember having to aim this all the time. I enjoyed that. It's good. Okay, so it's available as a new capstone directly after a Blitz. Okay, so if you're playing a Blitz, you'll always take this, most likely, in AoE situations. Actually, even probably in single target, where you're just getting free Glacial Advances. Makes Killing Machines feel more powerful. That's good. We like that. New talent, Smothering Offense. Your auto attack damage is increased by 5%. This amount is increased per stack of Icy Talons you have and can stack up to 2 additional times. Okay. Does Frost randomly do like a lot of auto attack damage? Or is that just something they threw on this and this is the main reason that it exists? Oh, wait. I still haven't read the dev notes. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Oh, let's make this bigger so we can actually... Yes! Yes! You can't just do it normally. Death Knight updates. Hello, Death Knights. This week's alpha includes another round of changes for Death Knights, this time focused on the Frost. We looked at talents that felt more appropriate to be baseline for the spec and talents that work better as 1 rank instead of 2. Notably, we made Fatal Fixation and Rhyme baseline, reduced Frost Whelp's aid, Enduring Strength, and cut Cold-Blooded Rage and Invigorating Freeze and new talents to 1 rank. The goal of the above change is to cut down on build friction. Yeah, 2-point node's bad, 1-point node's good. We've created a variety of new talents, added 2 new capstones that focus on your auto attacks, weird, which should give us some better sustained damage outside of Pillar of Frost windows. Oh, so that's the idea. But to focus auto attack shred is interesting. I mean, I guess like the other thing to focus on would be just Frost Strike. I think it's a good conceptual thing to just make the class feel better outside of its cooldown windows. That's fine, but auto attack damage is super interesting. These talents also complement both obliteration and breath builds and add some unique gameplay that expands on the Shattering Blade node. Okay. We've added Razor Ice to the target's unit frame to allow easier tracking. Frost Scythe has also seen an update to move it out of the regular rotational rune spender to a big heavy hitter on a medium cooldown. Oh, that's way better. I fucking hate playing Frost Scythe. I would like Frost Scythe so much better, even if it cost more, if you could use it less often, but it hit like a fucking brick truck. Don't know what, I just made that word up, but yeah, two very hard things. It's a rune cost. Its rune cost has been increased to 2, and its damage has been greatly increased. Okay, so they literally did that, and it's always guaranteed to crit. I don't know if I like that. I don't like... When it can be avoided, I don't like things being guaranteed to crit without giving you some kind of crit damage compensation, because then it just makes you feel like every single point you put into crit doesn't matter for an ability that should hit pretty hard. Especially an ability that's a talent, so you may want a different stat priority based on the talent you're playing, which is really fucking weird. It also has a unique mechanic that reduces its cooldown when you consume Killing Machine. Oh, that fucking slaps. Which has some fun synergy with the suite of new auto attack talents we've added. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Except for the crit thing. Don't like that. Let's see. It still does 4 times. It still does. Oh, so Frost Scythe still does quadruple crit damage. What did that guy in chat say? Like a horny Decepticon? Oh, when I said a brick truck? Yeah, it is kind of like a horny Decepticon. I really like that. That's cool. Lastly, we've increased Breath of Syndragosa's damage to compensate for the loss of uptime with our first round of changes, which should lend itself to be a burstier playstyle with less focus on infinite duration buffs. Been saying they needed to make this change for years. Even though I enjoyed every single fucking second of any boss that I had to keep breath up all the time, I think this needed to happen. We are keeping an eye on the current runic power cost, which is unchanged since its increase in Dragonflight. From our internal testing, we're seeing 30 to 40 second breaths. Based on situations, but the many scenarios where it can feel extremely tight as you wait for runes to replenish, which means we may need to look at its cost per second and pulling out some runic power generation elsewhere. Man, they're really going to approach it with it not increasing. I wonder what they don't like about the design of breath just simply ramps in its damage and ramps in its runic power generation. Runic power draining. So it's like virtually guaranteed to end at a certain point, but it also it benefits you to keep it up for longer, but becomes more difficult near the end of it. Maybe the reason they don't want to do that is because people would giga focus on that part and die. Like, I know there's been a few times in this game's history where they made all of your damage happen in a certain cooldown, and then, like, if you didn't do it exactly right, you would just die. And, like, Venthyr Moonkin was one of them. Where, like, this can just make people die a lot, and it's kind of a bad implementation. Surrender to Madness, well, that was a little bit more extreme, but same idea. Okay, we'll see how it plays out. I like the idea of the change. I think how they're going about it is super interesting, because, like, the way they're going about it is just asking for having to keep tuning this the whole expansion because of, obviously, more haste and crit. And you can kind of just design it in a way where you don't have to constantly check this, but whatever. Which means that we may need to look at its cost per second and pulling out some runic power generation also. We would love to see your feedback on the crit generation on Breath of Syndragosa uptime tangentially. We still have some work we'd like to do on a blit build resources, especially as it pertains to runic power consumption, as it can still be flooded inside of cooldowns. Cool. All right, I like everything about that. All right, going back to the notes. Okay. New talent, Icy Death Torrent. Your auto attack crits have a chance to send out a sleet of ice, dealing frost damage to enemies in front of you. Cool. Kind of building off of the Oblit sending the thing out in front of you thing, and the auto attack synergy. While Pillar of Frost is active, your auto attack crits increase its duration by 1 second up to a maximum of 5. Okay, a lot of auto attack stuff. You are going to want to be on the boss during Pillar. 5-second extension on Pillar is interesting that they're trying to give you power outside of Pillar, but also making Pillar more powerful. Frost Scythe has been redesigned. We already talked about that. Rhyme is a new baseline ability. Okay, gain a talent point. Breath of Cinder gross damage increased by 25%. Chill Streak can now bounce off the Death Knight if a second enemy target isn't found. Fucking banger. I knew this. As soon as they made this a tier thing, my first reaction when I read that was they're going to let people play with this one time, or maybe they will play with this, and then they will realize that this needs to not be tied to tier and needs to be made baseline. I am glad that they did that. Enduring Strength is now a 1-point talent. Strength increased by 20%. Was 10. Yeah, of course, it used to be a 2-point, though. So, again, gained 1 talent point. One thing I find interesting, just going back a little bit, your auto attack critical strikes increases duration by 1 second up to a maximum of 5. But they're devaluing wanting to have crit with the Frost Scythe redesign. So, like, these two things kind of rub against each other. Hey, you want crit now, but also every point of crit you have is worthless. It's just weird. Maybe do something like they used to do with Destro Locks, where because Chaos Bolt was an auto crit, it just increased the damage of Chaos Bolt by the amount of crit you have. I wish Frost Scythe was that. Like, I wish Frost Scythe did scaling damage, and it just crit your critical strike chance amplified the damage of Frost Scythe. So it still gives value, right? Anyways, moving back down. They made Killing Machine stacking additional time baseline. Give you another, I think, 3 points given back to you just right here. Everfrost is now learned after Gate 1. Okay, Gate, position, movement. Horn of Winter is now position, movement. Obliteration is replaced. Cool. Let's fuck with this. Okay, let's say I'm a Frosty K, and I want to be a Breath of Cindergosa Frosty K, and I want to play the game. Let's make a little build and have fun. So let's do Obliterate for sure. Let's make this the full screen. Okay, I can't actually do that. Make it any bigger. Okay, cool. So let's make a Breath build and let's make an Oblit build. Howling Blast for sure. Everfrost for sure. This isn't like an AoE build, right? We want an AoE. We're fighting 5 to 6 targets forever. Howling Blast damage for sure. Your next auto, yeah, gotta grab Killing Machine, and then we gotta spend 2 more points to get down to Pillar of Frost. I wonder if we're going to take the Frost Strike damage or the maximum runic power. If it's Breath, maybe it's just the maximum runic power. And again, these are 2-point nodes, but like that's intended. Like if these weren't 2-point nodes, you would just get every single talent up here, right? We're not going to want Glacial Advance, but we are going to want Rage of the Frozen Champion. So I wonder if we're going to have to path down through there anyway, but let's just see how many points we have to actually do that. So let's grab Biting Cold for sure. Let's grab Frost Scythe. That's new and fun. Let's get Empower Rune Weapon, obviously. Chill Streak we'll hold off on, but I do love this talent. Each time Frost Fevered, oh yeah, Cryogenic Chamber for sure. Gathering Storm, absolutely. These all work together in the AoE package. You will always take these talents. Let's grab Pillar Frost. We have 6 more points to spend before we unlock the capstones. Ice Cap is something. It's so interesting that they want to increase the power after Pillar, but they're also giving you the chance to extend it and reduce its cooldown. Frost Whelps is more of just like a damage thing, but it's also buffing your breath window and your pillars. So whenever when a pillar of frost expires, your strength's increased by 20% for 6 seconds. This effect lasts 2 seconds longer for everything used there. Okay, this all just feels like stuff I really want. We're gonna take Frostworm's Fury because we're taking Rite of the Apocalypse. It allows you to select this before the capstone level, which is interesting. You're definitely gonna want the reduced cooldown because of Rider of the Apocalypse. And now we only have 3 more points to spend. I'm just going to assume you can't spend this yet. That seems like a Wowhead bug, or maybe it's a placement bug. I don't know. Whatever it is. We're just going to keep it like this. So we have 4 more points to spend before we can move on. Unleash Frenzy. Damaging an enemy with a runic power ability. Increase your strength for 10 seconds. Stack up to 3 times. So this is just permanently 6% strength for 1 talent point. You're just going to take that every time, right? Obliterate damage increased by 10%. Not necessarily a great point, but I really like the opportunity to potentially get Horn of Winter. That's going to be awesome for Breath. Cold Heart is just damn. We can maybe skip that for now. I'm not sure of its current power level. And then just in general, Rage of the Frozen Champion and Frigid Executioner are both really good for Breath. I'm just going to take Rage. I think that's what I remember playing back when I played that. Dude, Murderous Efficiency is also kind of nice for breath. Okay, you definitely have some options here. But if we're really a breath aficionado, we're not taking Frostwhelp's Abe. Ice Cap is way too good. And our last point, let's just say we're skipping Chill Streak unless it's like a 2-target fight. Let's say we skip Frostwhelps. Enduring Strength is just really good, though. But Horn is going to allow us to get a nice, juicy breath. All right, so let's go ahead and grab breath first thing. So when empowered by Rhyme, Howling, okay, more damage to your primary target. Interesting that that's the thing you have to commit to get to breath. And then this doesn't exist yet. I'm assuming some kind of breath support. Then you have breath. Okay, so then we have 6 points to support it. I think with Rider of the Apocalypse, you're going to want absolute 0, even in single target, which is kind of an interesting thing to do. But what else we got here? So we have... When Frost Strike consumes 5 Razor Ice stacks, it deals 50% of the damage dealt to nearby enemies, and it deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. That doesn't seem great. When Frost Strike, it will consume them to deal 100% additional damage. Casting Howling Blast with Rhyme activates Jagged Icicles to fall on your enemy. That's just a damage thing. Let's see here. What's this? When Pillar of Frost is active, your auto attack critical strikes increase its duration up to 5. That sounds really good, especially with Ice Cap. But then also not having Enduring Strength and stuff is weird. Also, maybe we don't play Rider of the Apocalypse. Maybe for Frost, if we really want to play Breath in an AoE... But we're playing an AoE scenario. You want Frostworm's Fury. We're talking about AoE right now. Is there a world where we play both Obliteration and Breath? And that not be weird? I think you're going to be strapped for points making all this stuff work. But just something to think about. I remember having a Blit and Breath in Antorus, and I really liked that. Let's go for the increased Icy Talon stacks for more runic power. Let's go for Icy Death Torrent, and then let's go for Pillar of Frost extension. And now we have 2 more points. I'm actually kind of obligated here. There's a few things we could get. If it's 2-target fight, Chill Streak probably has a lot of value. If it's single target, but it's not in this scenario, right? We probably wouldn't take the Frostworm's Fury. Maybe play a different hero talent. Cold Heart's potentially good, depending on tuning. Murderous Efficiency is potentially not bad. Inexorable Assault is awful, but I would only take that to potentially go down the Bone Grinder path to get Obliteration, but that's with less Pillar of Frost synergy. Definitely don't... Well, Glacial Advance isn't going to feel bad, because outside of breath windows, you can actually do this. But then, like, during your breath windows, it's not relevant. Where's the thing where you can shoot... Did I already get it? The thing where you shoot... Where's the old tier? This. Oh, it's after a Blit. Okay. Okay, let's grab Enduring... I think you're grabbing Enduring Strength and Frostwhelps. Like, something like this. Which, honestly, doesn't feel that much different than how this would play normally. I guess you have Horn. Maybe, honestly, you don't take Frost Scythe. And instead you grab, like, Murderous Efficiency. I just feel like in AoE, if you're not taking Frost Scythe in AoE, in any AoE situation, why does this exist? I don't know. Okay. All right, that's breath, right? All right, let's look at this again. Let's say you're an Obliteration gamer. Maybe not even single target versus AoE, just you're just an Obliteration gamer, right? I don't know if you ever want to take Improved Frost Strike. That still feels really bad. 7 points. We need Pillar of Frost, obviously. maybe you don't take improved rhyme, but I mean, I still feel like in single target, you still definitely want like all the remorseless winter package. At least to me, that's like my most fun thing. So, but maybe Frost Strike, all the Frost Strike nodes make this feel better. Let's take Frost Strike damage, whatever. Okay, we spent an extra point up top. Let's see if that ends up hurting us. We need Pillar, we need Ice Cap, Enduring Strength, Glacial Advance, Obliterate damage, skip Horn of Winter, probably take Frigid Executioner, Murderous Efficiency. We have 4 more points to spend. I personally would like Biting Cold, Empower Rune Weapon, Gathering Storm at least. Maybe you don't need Glacial Advance because of the talent below a Blit. Yeah, but it doesn't spend your runic power when it does it. So like, I mean, I don't know. Unless Glacial Advance is really weak, pressing Frost Strike in an AoE scenario kind of seems bad. But yeah, maybe you're right. Can remove that. And again, if we're in an AoE scenario, we're probably playing what? At this scenario, it's probably not Cryogenic Chamber. But Cryogenic Chamber and Gathering Storm go so well together. What about Frost Scythe and Frostworm's Fury? Skipping that could be a numbers loss, but doesn't sound super fun. We also don't have Frost Whelps right now. Whatever. Let's go down a little bit. Okay, so Bone Grinder. We're going to take this because we're going to grab a Blit, and if we're grabbing a Blit, we're grabbing Arctic Assault. It does feel a little restrictive that if you ever want to commit to Breath or a Blit, which is kind of what you're always going to do, right? You're just 4 points in the hole to get like a package, and 2 of them aren't awesome. I still think it would maybe just be a little cooler if Bone Grinder and Icebreaker weren't 2-point nodes. Maybe I'm just preaching to the choir here, but like maybe it's fair. Or does both points seem powerful? 1%. Okay. Okay. Long Winter. So we're definitely like pillar gaming now. Like you need pillar up all the time. Are we slamming the next 6 points in what? Smothering offense? Your auto attack crits have a chance to deal frost damage to enemies in front of you, and Pillar of Frost extension and reduction. Casting Howling Blast with Rhyme. With Frost Strike consumes... So now you're going to want this. Like when Frost Strike consumes Razor Ice stacks at AoEs. Something like this. I don't know if I'm down with this stuff here. If I have 3 more points, man, I kind of want to slam Absolute Zero, Cryogenic Chamber, and Frost Whelps. That feels better than this. Those 3 points feel a lot better here to me. You can take 1 point out of Improved Frost Strike, right? No, you got to get both of these. I mean, we could get... I mean, does anyone else feel that way? That I feel like as a DK, at least for me personally, the Biting Cold Gathering Storm option, I never want to be gone. That's always fucking super fun. I love that. So I just don't want that. And then when you have Gathering Storm, I feel like Cryogenic Chamber, you just have to have it in an AoE scenario. All right, now let's think about single target pure. Let's try to cook a single target Deathbringer Breath of Blit build. Bang, 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 bang. I hate how you have to spend 9 points here at the beginning, but Pillar, Biting Cold, Power Rune Weapon, Gathering Storm, Ice Cap, a Blit, Rage of the Frozen Champion, Murderous Efficiency, Not Horn of Winter. Enduring Strength. How many points? 2? Boys, this is looking like you can get a lot of shit. We can get Horn for breath. I hate Inexorable Assault. It's so boring. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And then let's just grab Oblit and Breath. Single target Chill Streak? Maybe. I mean, we have 2 points to spend now. Pure single, playing Deathbringer. Why is Inexorable Assault boring, but Whelp isn't? Whelp just gives you stats, too. And it's stacking on top of... It's making your main cooldown stronger. Here, oh, it's not your main cooldown, but it's making your cooldown stronger. Do you need Arctic Assault in single target? What are we talking here? What the fuck is... Oh. Oh, you're right. You don't. That's a really good point. You definitely don't. I just, like, automatically selected it because... I mean, it's probably worth it, though. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need it in single target, but I think it's an extremely high chance that it's better than every single one of these points. Even in pure single, but... This kind of fucks, dude. This looks really fun. I think you put a point in Chill Streak. I don't know if you take the other point, but... Maybe Cold Heart? Dude, this looks really fun. I want to play this right now. And we're missing an entire near capstone level point that's not even implemented yet. Dude, I like fuck with this. Maybe it's a little weird that we have Ice Cap with Pillar here, but we don't have the stuff. Like, it kind of feels bad just having Pillar, but not having the extension a little bit. But it's like a really heavy investment to get it. So do you play 2 one-handers with this build? I have no idea how that works. Like, what's the 2-hand bit? Isn't 2-hand like a Blit does way more damage, but 2 one-handers gives you more runic power or something? I don't know the bit. You get more runic power with 2 one-handers via the class tree. Okay. After Reaper's Mark explodes, your next Obliteratano costs S rune and summon 22 scythes to strike your enemies. That is an extremely hype tooltip. Fucking hype, man. Obliteratino. Obliteratino. Fuck yeah. Okay, I think good changes. Better than the unholy changes. The unholy changes last week, and I don't think they're like irredeemable. There's a lot of good stuff with these, but it's still just there were some pathing problems. It still just felt like you just don't have enough points to really do what you want to do. They still haven't implemented this. There's still some 2-point capstone nodes. I think those aren't super interesting. I think the capstone level could just have another look here. I think A-Bomb and Army, if they're going to replace Army, should certainly be a choice node. So I think I'm not going to spend too much more time on Unholy. I think they're probably just going to make more changes here. Sweet. And I certainly hope that they have more class tree changes. I won't bore you guys with another long-winded, scathing criticism of the Frost tree. Can we do some highlights, actually? I kind of feel like doing that. Why the fuck do you have to spend not only 1 point in Interrupt that you maybe don't need, but one that is, like, the improvement, giving you a little taste of, like, your Interrupt is a little better, right? Which, like, exists in almost every single melee class tree, but In their cases, it's obviously an option, not something that you 100% have to take, even when it never does anything for you. And you have to take both of these things to get a required cooldown. Absolute nonsense. Complete nonsense. At the bottom of the tree, if you want to get null magic, in parentheses, you need this 100% of the time, you have to spend 2 points and you get increased healing with an absorb up. That's really bad. If you want A-Bomb's Limb, something that is no longer a required damage cooldown like they've had in the past, it's much more of a like utility thing, but a very strong utility thing. 100% needed in all Mythic Plus content, and any fight where you need a DK in a raid, you pretty much need Abomination Limb. Although, actually, wait. Quick thing. The last time I reviewed this, I had bad information. I assumed that Subduing Grasp only works when you can actually grip an enemy. And I made the point that, well, this sucks because anything that's actually going to do damage to you can't get gripped, right? Because if you could grip them, you would just stop that damage from happening for, like, DPS players. But apparently Subduing Grasp actually... and it did even before I figured out how it worked. If you were to, like, Mass Grip, for example, or A-Bomb's Limb, it would kind of function as, like, a mini DR, which is really nice, right? Okay, but this actually... Not according to me, I've never tested this. Apparently, if you're like a DK and you just cast Death Grip on a boss, this works. So, like, if you want to live a specific damage event, you could just cast Death Grip on a boss and you'll just have a DR. If you have A-Bomb's Limb up, you're basically going to permanently just have a DR against basically every target, or certainly the main target. Death Grip's still on the global, which makes that feel really bad. Also, why is Death Grip on the global? 4% isn't worth. Well, it's a 2-point talent, so it'd be 8%, which is absolutely worth it. Like, dude, if you're a DK in progression doing Fyrak, I would Death Grip the boss, assuming it doesn't taunt. I don't think it taunts for DPS DKs. They will, it's a taunt for blood only. Okay, yeah, it doesn't taunt for DPS. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I would Death Grip the boss as a DPS DK before every blaze set. Every single one. If I'm smart. It's just, like, you'll just reduce deaths over the course of progression, and there's just no way you need that damage, at least early in progression, right? And it's also a half GCD, yeah. I think this is better than it appears, but I still just don't like how it's a gate to this. And then the other one is, this is irredeemably trash, right? But good news is the button under it is still, could be buffed by 10 times, it would still be bad. So you don't have to really worry about runic protection, because under no circumstances would any of these specs consider going below this node, which kind of brings us to the problem of why this is a capstone node in the first place. And generally speaking, you want nodes that are on the same row, right? So this is a row. This is a row. This is a row. You want talents on the same row to have like a, you know, generally speaking, the same power level. Like if you were to, this is actually kind of a fun exercise if you ever want to realize if your class tree stinks or not. What you can do is like put this into paint, right? Just paste it into paint. And then just like in your head, just, it's really hard to do this objectively, but just try to. Just assign like a power level out of 10 of every talent, right? So like this would be a 10. This would be like a 9, honestly. Not necessarily like pure player power, damage power, but just like in its utility, right? Again, you're having to make some weird balancing power versus utility thing, right? This would be like a 0. So, right, like that's a problem. Like in general, the better your tree is when you weigh choices against each other, what you'd really want is like this. I'm just making these numbers up, by the way. Right? Like, you'd want, when you get to this point in the tree, it's like, oh, I got a bunch of good options here. What feels really bad is trees that have this, where it's like 1, 7, 4, 8, 10, 1, 2, right? Because then you get to this point in the tree, and it's not really interesting. It's like, oh, I need these 3 things. I'm going to ignore everything here that sucks, and I just need to move down the tree. Every tree would be better if everything on the same row was close to the same level of like, oh, I want that as the other things on the row. So if you ever want to really dive deep, it's kind of a long process. Like, take a lot of time and try to accurately mark down your class tree like this. And you'll notice where a lot of the problems lie, and it'll allow you to kind of see why certain parts of it feel really bad, and it's usually because of that. Do it with the hunter tree just so we see how it's the worst class ever. Yeah, hunters, hopefully hunters are one of the next classes that get, hunters are one of the next classes that get all of their stuff looked at. It's very, very needed. It was a while ago, but Kalamazzi tweeted a picture. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Please don't dox me, Twitter. Okay, cool. Just ask me if that's still my email. All right, here we go. So Kalamazzi, I can even go to media because I know it was a picture. Here we go. So Kalamazzi, this was a while ago. This is not up to date, but he posted just, this is not a like exact science, but he just posted the amount of 2-point nodes that exist in everyone's spec tree. How many talent points total there are, and how many of them are 2-point nodes. And the ones that are the most recently reworked, relooked at, touched up, whatever you want to call it, they're closer to 0. And the ones that are, generally speaking, the most outdated are the numbers, the higher they go, the worse, right? So, like, Destro's the biggest offender here, but, like, Demo they just redid today, and Demo, I believe, has 0. And who would have guessed it? It's a really positive change, and Demo really likes it, right? I'm sure there's other reasons why Demo liked their rework. But it's not a surprise that anytime you see the number go from a lot to a little here, class very happy, right? It's happened a lot of times. Shaman needs a little help there. Warriors feel a lot better because of that. But look at Hunter. Like, Hunter, if you were to average every spec, Hunters are in the worst situation with class and spec trees. So I hope they look at Hunters soon. I think they're the class that needs it the most. And also someone in chat said, this table doesn't show the class tree 2-point nodes. Surprise, Hunter has 14 2-pointers, most of all classes. Yep. That's, Hunters are the worst, yeah. Currently, Warlocks are rotating through their rework, so I think by the end of, this month, probably even, Warlocks will be all figured out. They just took Demo to 0. I'm sure Destro will go to 0, or close to 0. Some trees have 2-point nodes as gating mechanisms, and it does make sense, but as close to 0 as possible. Non-problematic 2-pointers, you'd want them to be 0. Problematic ones. They've said no Hunter changes planned. Nope. I reread that post. That post was the most misunderstood thing ever. Basically, they made a bunch of alpha notes 1 week, and Hunters didn't get any changes, and the post basically says, hey, Hunters, we'll be making changes for you soon, but not this week. And it somehow got blown up. Although it was a little confusing in how they said it. It was blown up as like, hey, we're going to be working on your hero talents, but catch you later with any class or spec tree changes. But that's like how it was taken, and that's not what it said. I spent a lot of time looking at this because so many people were dooming about it. It is obvious that Hunter is going to get touched up. In fact, I think every spec that hasn't been touched up at the end of Dragonflight will absolutely be touched up before the War Within starts. I don't even think it's a question. They're literally doing like 2 to 3 specs a week. Like, they're fucking cranking through this. Max, can you give an example of needed 2-point nodes that act as gates? I'm curious. We just looked at some with Frost. Now, by the way, not needed. Could they create spec trees or class trees that have 2-point nodes that, like, have 1-point nodes instead and it's better or makes sense? Like, for example, let's say they have a Instead of this node and this node being 2 points, they add 1 point here and 1 point here, and now it's just 4 pointers, and they all path really easily. Or like choice nodes or something. Like here, here we go. So right now, you have spent 5 points. Generally speaking, you will always take these. You need to spend 3 more, but you always need pillar. So 2 of them have to go in one of these 2 things. Okay, let's say we take this one. Now you have to spend 1 in here and here. If this wasn't a 2-point node, you would just run it down and get every single talent. Which kind of defeats the point of the first... I don't know if that would necessarily be worse, but like... I don't know. This probably isn't the best example. There's some in some other trees too where it's like... I mean, even in the DK tree, like the class tree, if they're not going to give you a bunch more 1-pointers down here, them making you commit to something here feels really bad right now because the things you're choosing to commit to it are fucking awful. But if you're only going to have 3 capstones, that lines up. These just need to actually make sense with the thing you're picking under it and be of value to be worth spending into. Even in the Frost DK tree, even farther down, they clearly want it to be just oh so slightly more of an investment to become an Obliteration DK or to become a Breath DK. That's why this 2-point node is here. They don't want you automatically... If these were 1-point nodes, in reality, your spec tree is always Breath, always Oblit. Let's see what else we can get. But this little 2-point node makes it most likely... We went through the scenarios like 15, 20 minutes ago on stream. But like most scenarios, you're going to pick one and then support it. And I think that is ideal for them and what they're trying to do. But you still can do it, but it's a heavy investment to get both of these things. And I think if you know how Frost DK works, that actually makes a lot of sense. A-Bomb's Limb is a 5-point commitment? No, it's not, because Will of the Necropolis is something you'll always want. But you are... I'm not telling you the class... we just went over how the class tree for DK fucking stinks. It stinks, right? Mainly because it just doesn't do what good trees do, which is, hey, we are 27 of our 31 points spent in our class tree, and hey, I have everything I want. That's cool. What else do I want? Oh, here's some stuff that I don't need all the time. But it's cool that I have it now. Oh, I can get Wraithwalk on this fight. Is Wraithwalk required? Absolutely not. But like maybe on this specific fight, there's so much movement that Wraithwalk will feel good. Something like that, right? Oh, there's like a mob that needs a stun here. It can't be gripped, but it can be stunned. Actually, this is a stupid thing because I think it's literally impossible to be able to stun something that can't be gripped. But like maybe I want Asphyxiate here, right? Like these are non-actual choices when you're completely locked down for power throughout your entire tree, which you are even still currently after they made a lot of good changes. That's the idea. You want 3 or 4 points to pick things like Asphyxiate and Death Pact and Wraithwalk and, you know, just, I don't know, like Control Undead or stuff like that, where you don't need these all the time, but you can use them in certain scenarios, but you're actually just always locked into taking things because of it. It's still the same way, right? Max, if a mob was perma-rooted, it could stun but not be gripped. Yeah, but like if you're attacking it... Yeah, I mean, okay. Okay. Okay, you know, I was about to be like, okay, bravo. You did find a scenario. That scenario does exist. It doesn't really exist, but it technically exists, yeah. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. They should make the Blood Decay artifact ability as the capstone instead of Blood Draw. Consumption? And have it give you 25% leech too? Max, I think they hot fixed HOF, farmed it the whole day solo easy. I don't know what HOF means. Hear me out, Max. What if all those talents you say are required were instead made entirely baseline, costing you nothing at all to take, And then to compensate, they reduced the number of total talents by a sizable margin, maybe as little as 6 or 7. And then each of those choices were split into thematic tiers. So you'd never be completing utility with throughput. It never had to trap talents. That failing to pick was an objective mistake. Wouldn't that be the best cook of all time? You're kind of describing old mop talents, and I don't think so. I think this is better than that. And I also think, more importantly, the leveling experience and I don't know if a lot of you guys, especially who play at max and do endgame content a lot, I only realized this when I went back and did Mop Remix. Yeah, the experience while leveling is significantly better than the Mop talent tree points, while offering you the same thing at max level. I think it's something very commonly misunderstood by players that play endgame as their main thing, where they don't really understand the main purpose of these. Streamer missed the bit. I could tell that he was trying to make a point on how the old talent trees are better from literally the hear me out max. I like skimmed it and knew instantly. Let's see. Options are an illusion. Lamau, people just open class Discord and import the best talents. For DPS, that's true. But I think DPS will always be that because DPS can be mathematically figured out. So DPS are just always going to have less fun with their talent trees than tanks and healers are. Because tanks and healers are more subjective and more situation-based and more, like, feely crafty. Like, anyone that's ever tried to, like, math out tank stuff is just a total fucking idiot. It just doesn't work. You're much better off with practical experience and making decisions based on what you see and how something is. And that's the main reason that, like, tank talent trees and healer talent trees are generally more interesting, because it's not just, like, upload something from the Discord. Like, even right now, like, Vengeance DH, there's, like, a class Discord build, there's a dorky build, there's a now build, there's a coward build, there's all different kinds of things that people swear by. And that's the point. You'll never find that with DPS because it's all about doing damage, and that can be easily solved with math. What if you still got those small power points as you level up anyway? Hey, you're level 15, cool. Oh, you're level 23, cool. You just unlocked IBF. It's just a lot less cool. That's something that's just true in all of MMOs, and it's actually the main feeling of nostalgia for the old OG talent trees, back in, like, vanilla, is when you level, getting a point to spend in something is really cool, and the feeling of leveling with these current trees and getting points as you're leveling up feels way, 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 way better than that. Let's see. How are you doing? I'm doing good. What is it? Even as DPS, if you're not doing Mythic Raid or high-end keys, selecting passives that are within 5 to 8% of the best choices could be way better for consistency. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know there was mages that used to, with Rune of Power, they just used to always play in Cantor's Flow or whatever that other thing was called, where it just, like, gave you passive damage, because it's just, like, a vibe to not press Rune of Power for some people. What is it? I disagree. Talent points in vanilla don't feel that great. Most talents were ass. Yeah, you feel that way now. You didn't feel that way then. That's why this is like a 2024 version of what vanilla talent trees were supposed to do. You're spending talents every point when you level up, but you're spending them on things that make a lot more of a difference. And they're just much better designed. Yeah, but we aren't leveling, so they feel like ass. I think if you have a good one, they feel insane. I think if you have a bad one, they feel like ass. And maybe that was an issue where they released it not... It took, like, the entire expansion and probably the entire alpha and beta to, like, make them really, really high quality. Some classes definitely have it better than others. That's for damn sure. But, like, if you were to say to a class that has a really, really good class inspectory that... like, that isn't a good thing for them, or that it's, like, bad or worse than mob talents, is just nonsense. That's crazy. Although I wonder if there's a world that... The only gripe I have is what we were just talking about. I wonder if it would be possible for Blizzard to make an interesting DPS spec tree that isn't just mathematically solved. It's probably impossible. But, like, it's just weird that class and spec trees are way cooler for tanks and healers than they are for DPS. And I don't know how you solve that. What is it? As a casual, the current talent system feels like the best iteration. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel strongly for or against Blizzard. I don't. I'm not really biased towards any specific class besides maybe Windwalker. I just give a lot of takes on it, but I don't like put it above other things. I think the decision to make class and spec trees and the execution of it was really good. I think it's really good. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now we need to see that love from Windwalker and see it on DK. After dropping WoW and Wrath and returning Shadowland, the mop trees were a big part of feeling like retail WoW was dumbed down. Yeah. Well, it wasn't for a while, because it's funny, because in mop, the game was, like, super complex. Specifically when the talent trees were first put in. Yeah. The thing is all mop did was they made the base, all the talents you spent in Kata that were super, super, like, basic-ass points. They just gave you all of those passively, and then they took the actual choices from those trees. And then, they took the actual choices from those trees and made, they just, like, made them into, like, small things. They had the passive one on the left. They had the actionable ones on the right. The middle ones were kind of whatever. They could be both. But I think this is a better version of that, yeah. I wish they could make it cooler for tanks and DKs. I think, like, one of the biggest misconceptions is, like someone who hasn't leveled in a while will, like, play their character and they're like, why am I having to select Frost Strike? I've had Frost Strike forever. I should always have Frost Strike. Or maybe that's a bad example. It's like the very beginning. Like, why do I have to select Obliterate or Howling Blast or stuff like that? Like, obviously, when you're leveling and you get to level 10, or I guess DK is a bad example, but you start, like, getting these things one by one, and it makes a lot of sense. But, like, there's this weird thing where a lot of people get it at a max level, and they're like, why do I have to choose this thing? Right? This guy's in chat's, like, reading about Pillar, right? Things like Pillar are not intended to be skipped. I guess there's a world where, and I can give you some examples of this of other trees, too. Like Monk, for example, one I spend a lot of time with. You have to select Storm, Earth, and Fire. Are you ever going to select a build that doesn't play Storm, Earth, and Fire and just go on the left and right? No. Some of this tree isn't choice. Like, if you look at, like, stuff that you're kind of locked into at the top, you're going to reach some of those things. But then, like, there is a decent amount, even though you're always going to pick Storm, Earth, and Fire and you're always going to pick Zwen, there is still a lot of choices happening around this and a lot more choice than mop talents. But that being said, just in general, this right here, all of this is just more interesting on a tank and a healer than it is on a DPS, and it always will be. Like, all of this stuff. Like, all of this stuff. As a tank and a healer has actual choice, a DPS is just plug it into a thing. That's kind of just what the game has become. I don't know there's any way around that. And if so, they're not intended to be skipped. They're not a choice. Not every single thing on here is a choice now. Like, you can see it's a theme in, like, every... Actually, most DPS trees, actually, like, if you go to Ret, like, you're going to pick your cooldown. You're going to pick Wake of Ashes. There are choices along the way. You know, if you fill out a tree... I think it's... this, maybe? I don't remember exactly what it is. But forget it. Just ignore exactly what it is. But, like, you get here... maybe take one of these. Like, this isn't a choice. This... Wake of Ashes isn't a choice, but how you get there, all of these things involved are choices. Where you see a significant gain is in, like, the leveling situation, instead of just being given a bunch of things baseline. The feeling as you level is the exact same as if you get those passes as you level. Literally the same. That's actually not true. I think there is a different response from players. Well, I mean, this is my opinion. I think there's a different response from players of gaining a level, leveling up, putting your point into something that gives you feel like you just selected something rather than getting it passively, especially as a new player. And you're more likely to like read the tooltip rather than just get something randomly put on your bars and just, you know, you just start pressing it and figuring it out. What is it? And so why is Wake a talent? Why isn't it just a thing you get as you level? If 100% of players pick it, it's not a choice. Instead, I feel like you're not listening to me. But that's okay. And you've obviously seemed very passionate about this. But I think I've said it enough. I've seen a priest tree without PI and one without any picked capstone. Everything is a choice if you don't care enough. True. And I think maybe something would be realizing how many people play this game and just fucking go out in the world and select their own shit and don't look up a guide or a build or whatever. Maybe they do before they step into raid for the first time in a patch. The point isn't that every point should be a choice, but the system means you can end up making a lot more choices in a system that forces only 6 to 8 options. Correct. And I think it accomplishes that. And the trees that have been recently reworked, like, one thing is for sure. One thing is definitely true, is that if you were one of the classes that didn't have a good class inspect tree for all this expansion, that fucking blows. Like, that is... Like, there are classes who got it really good and classes that didn't. Like, it sucks that some people had to play an entire expansion with that. Maybe that's the tax of having, like, a rebuilding expansion, you know? But some classes just had good ones and some have bad ones. I think it'll be a little bit better going to War Within because they're all going to get looked at least at the rate they're going now. It makes tanking so much fun. Yeah, I mean, Dorky just talked on the podcast the other day about, like, how good... how good specifically the Vengeance tree is. And then we were talking about why. And then Dratnos and I both pointed out that it's like, this is only a thing you can have with tanks. There's just no world. Like, there's no world where... Even if there's all these cool different options, like, utility is a cool, interesting thing for tanks and healers in their class and spec tree. Well, more so tanks. Because, like, you're picking defensiveness. Your value heavily depends on your defensiveness, your utility, and your, like, offensive power. Where for DPS, it's all about offensive power. Right. This is not the same with tanks and healers. And because of that, they just interact with their tree in a more interesting way. Max, you mentioned earlier that Ray's Abomination replaced Army. It does not. You get both. Oh, I didn't know that. Is that how it worked the first week? Is that a new thing this reset? I remember last reset, you couldn't cast both on Alpha at least. But that is, interesting. That is definitely interesting. Max, do you think that tier should change your style of play? They're making 39 tier bonuses every patch. I think if they tried to meaningfully change your gameplay with every single tier set every patch, I think it would be like pure chaos. I don't know. I've had tier bonuses throughout my time playing WoW that were almost passive but buffing the right things that I really enjoyed. And there were ones that, like, totally changed the way you were playing that I really enjoyed, too. I've also hated tier bonuses that made you spec into certain bonuses, certain talents, certain abilities, and changed your gameplay. I've hated the gameplay change. I've also loved that. I've also hated and loved passives. I think a mix of both is good. I would say go for a more boring but maybe powerful option if you don't have a good cook. But, like, if you have a good cook, send it. Like, I don't think they should... I think if they felt like they needed to define your play with tier every single patch, I think that it just wouldn't be good enough, and it would be more of a problem than it would be good. Just think of tier sets as a beta into the next iteration of your talent tree if the community likes it enough. That's basically what it is. I mean, we read the patch notes today, and I think 3 lines of text were basically we're putting an old tier bonus you liked into your talent tree or giving it to you baseline. They shouldn't do that all the time, but if they run across a good one, they absolutely should. Like Havoc, for example, it was clearly really fun this patch and last patch to like have your hunt give it like getting hunt CDR from stuff, and then it was one of these builds. Was it Eldrachi Reaver? Yeah, there we go. So like you're getting hunt CDR, but just in a different way. They're not necessarily adding your tier back, but they're giving you some form of hunt CDR that you'll get by using abilities. And I think that was directly a result of seeing what it was like to play DH with hunt on a shorter cooldown. Max, do you feel like the Windwalker tree is good right now in alpha? I haven't actually spec'd the Windwalker tree since they gave us a free point, I think. It's like, let's say you're making a dungeon build. Always grabbing that. Grabbing teachings. Probably grabbing Ascension, this, and Mark of the Crane. Always get this, that. I'm a fan of Drinking Horn cover. I think they also made Jade Ignition like more reliable to proc, I think, in a recent change. Just something to think about. You are definitely going to want Strike of the Windlord. At least I like Strike of the Windlord. Probably hit combos better than Flurry of Wind. Strike, Thunder Fist. How many points do you have? 6 more points? Holy moly. Let's do Dance of Chi-Ji. They also made Blackout Kick better recently. I forget exactly how. They either gave you like a new talent somewhere. Though they put Shadowboxing Treads down here. That's required. Inner Peace felt really good. You have 4 more points. Holy shit, dude. You have so many points. Max, I was wrong about Abomination. The tooltip on Wowhead is wrong. You fucking lied? Alright. I don't know exactly which one of these you want. Drinking Horn cover. I like Spiritual Focus. Especially if you're playing Conduit. Okay. And then now you have 3 more points. Let's take Blackout Kick damage. It's a huge portion of your damage. I don't think Rushing Jade Wind is tuned high enough. You could take Energy Burst or Inner Peace for a little bit of help with your Chi, since they nerfed that a lot to make haste better. Let's go ahead and just grab both of those for now. Can skip all the Rising Sun Kick stuff. You also could have taken Dual Threat maybe based on uptime, but Gale Force and Communing with the Wind I always want. Invoker's Delight feels great. Transfer the Power is awesome. Sven's Battle Gear is required. Crane Vortex is interesting. Sven's Bond, fun fact. Condo the Celestials is a 1.5 minute cooldown. By default, Storm Within Fire is a 1.5 minute recharge. Sven's Bond with 100% uptime makes your Sven a 1.5 cooldown. So you can actually be a 1.5 class if you want with this talent, which makes a lot more sense with Conduit, but also in a scenario where you don't take Spiritual Focus, you could take Drinking Horn cover, only press this every 1.5 minutes, and do that. And then your other option is you have your cooldown up at every 2 minutes for sure, but also in other cooldown windows. Both of them are really nice. I have 5 more points to spend. If you're an AoE, you don't get a lot of Chi-Ji procs anymore. But I think you take this just to Path to Whirling Dragon Punch. I think you take Knowledge of the Broken Temple. So good. Even though Revolving Whirl makes sense for this, but... How many points do you have? 2 points? I don't like Jadefire. But you could certainly take Jadefire. You could take this, which is a new capstone. Tiger Palm's chance to activate Blackout Kick is increased by 15%, which makes all these Blackout Kick... Okay, I think you're going to take that because of all of the synergy. And it also, Teachings of the Monastery gives you haste. I'm thinking this is going to be good. And then my personal selection, I think if you're not playing a Jadefire Stomp build, would be to take Drinking Horn cover and then take Sven's Bond. That way you're just a 1.5 minute monk. And I think that has a potential to be really strong. The alternative is you take Spiritual Focus, or you play Shadowpan, and you don't take Sven's Bond, and you take Fury's Wind, new Fury's Wind. And that would be the build that I would want to play. They would need to buff spinning Crane Kick damage to take Crane Vortex, and buff Rushing Jade Wind to take this. I think they recently changed Jade Ignition. Maybe it's better. But, yee. That's how I feel. Max, do you think they're likely to completely overhaul any more hero talents? Completely overhaul? Yeah, you bring up a good point. Yeah, like, I would like to see them completely overhaul Lightsmith because it sucks. But I doubt they'll completely overhaul it at this point because they're making minor changes to it, which means they like it, which is crazy. Because they did previously completely rehaul Oracle because that sucked. I think they made it into a much better version now. But I still haven't heard from them. Healers, that is. They completely reworked Trickster, I think, or they announced they're going to do that, right? Which is good, because this really stinks. Drinking Horn is sick. You get like 8 extra seconds. Yeah, I have an issue with Drinking Horn, though. So, Drinking Horn is... oh no, it is every time you cast a chi spender. Okay, so it's the opposite. So Spiritual Focus is weird because you spend less chi because of ordered elements. But Drinking Horn cover is done by every... Oh no, it is every chi you spend. It's not chi spender. So they both kind of feel bad because, like, in your actual window, you spend less chi because of ordered. I don't know. Jack had similar reactions to Lightsmith as Shamans had with Farseer. Interesting. I haven't heard any other paladins say they liked it. Max, did you hang out with any of the TL PvP boys at home base this week? After they're done with their tournament, I'm taking them all out to dinner, yeah. Literally the only thing they got praised is good. What is it? All the Hunter ones stink. The only change they made so far. Yeah, Hunters are down bad, bro. Their class and spec trees suck, and their hero talents suck. Get owned, Hunters. Shame because Dark Ranger had potential. I also think Dark Ranger... Yeah, I mean, pack leader is an embarrassment. I feel like Dark Ranger doesn't even need to be that good gameplay. It's just your character needs to look like Sylvanas when you're playing. Like, you got shadow chains coming off. You got, like, shadow dogs flying out. Dark Ranger could definitely be a spec or be a hero talent tree that is positively reviewed purely because of visuals. Considering the new talent trees, how do you think the new tank meta will be it raids or mythic? I have no idea, man. It's not close enough. I mean, until they nerf Vengeance Demon Hunter's sigils and the ability to stop things, that Vengeance Demon Hunter will be BIS until that's changed. In raid, I mean, you've seen Blood DK get played a lot. That's probably going to continue because they're famously really good raid tanks just because of the way they're designed. Like, their only flaw is something you really only experience in Mythic Plus. And you still need grips all the time, but Blood DKs have a better AMZ than DPS DKs. If you're bringing one for a grip, only one spec of DK has mass grip alongside A-Bomb's Limb and single grip, which, by the way, tank DK's single grip is on a shorter cooldown than DPS DK's, which, again, just... If you're bringing DKs for a reason, which is almost always grips, there's one spec that does gripping way better than the other two, so it's always going to lend itself to blood. So, and that, which they should fix that, by the way. Why the fuck is that the case? Maybe it's a PvP problem. I don't know. Like maybe if they made DPS DK's grips and PvP shorter, it would be a huge problem. I could see that. Yeah, I don't know. And then probably Paladin, like until Paladin is changed, like Blood DKs are such a strong. I can see Blood DK if I were to guess right now, I'll probably get some of this wrong because randomly, like in every patch, there's a tank that's super insane. But they're usually not like so far out of whack in raid that you wouldn't take them for this. Like assuming there isn't a tank that just does way more damage than everyone else, which is honestly not that common, especially in Dragonflight. In raid, Prot Paladin's utility and off healing from the tank POV is so broken, especially as a tank in a raid. Generally speaking, half the fight you're not tanking. So what a perfect time to have a crazy amount of off healing and utility. So you'll almost always play a Paladin. And DKs do the other, and you could just have a DK be the primary, if there even is a primary tank. Holy Pally is also worse than it has been in years, so can bring Diva Aura with Prot. I don't know how strong Holy Pally is going into the expansion. It could be good or bad. I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to go live today and talk about this stuff. I'm probably going to do some other shit. Stay strapped, gamers. I got to eat some food. I got to go work out. And then, rehab my ankle a little bit. Are you going to play Panda Remix? No, I already did on the PTR. What are you lifting? I'm going to pick things up and then put them down again. How's the ankle after skating? Not great. This season seems ripe for undercover raid leading. Can we expect any soon? Nah. I maybe would do it, but I don't have a character leveled and geared, and I don't want to do that. So, like, if I could log onto a character right now and just play a geared character in undercover, that sounds like great content. But the work to get geared and to do content I've already done before is just, no, I'll never do that. Okay. See you later.